Hi, I'm Captain Sweaty.
And I'm the guy that has to sit next to him.
And I'm the Wonder Bread who makes the top part of the sandwich.
Welcome to the Virtual Expo Day 2.
It's amazing, and I hope that your brain's not too full from yesterday, because today we have much more good stuff to put into it.
Oh, if it wasn't filled with beer right now, I'd be excited.
This convention has been a little bit real for us, not quite so virtual.
We shouldn't have gone out for actual pizza and beer. We should have done it virtually.
So let's just remind you to go down below if you haven't already put your name in and sign up for the great prizes and the shopping spree and the big giveaway we're going to be doing. It's going to be really cool.
Check out all the sponsors. Click on all the links. Those are the people that make this available to you. If this is as popular and does as well as we hope it's going to be something we can do on a regular basis.
Now,
and then pop out to social media and share this event.
Oh,
Go out there, share with your friends, talk about it a little bit, because the more DJs we can reach with this, the better it's going to be for the whole industry.
Yes. I've got this great idea. It was my idea. I don't mind saying it was. Nobody gave it to me at all. Where you should go to Facebook and you should say, we're watching the Virtual Expo, and then you should say where you are in the United States or around the world watching it, so we can see exactly how big our conference room is. You like my idea?
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And if they would do a hashtag Virtual Expo, then they'll be able to click on that and see other people who are talking about the Virtual Expo.
Awesome!
What a great idea. In fact, that'd be another great way to find out what other DJs in your market are doing this, so you can get together with them and talk about what they learned.
Boy, Bill, that's a great idea.
I'm smart. I don't mind telling you.
Bill's a genius.
So who's first? I am so hungover.
Paper,
Who's
scissors.
on second?
Oh, well then it's Mitch Taylor.
I win.
You get to flip the script with Mitch Taylor from Escanaba, Michigan, here at the Virtual Expo.
Hi, Mitch Taylor here for Disc Jockey News, DJ and virtual training, and wanted to bring you a subject today that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I've been a Gittimer certified ace of sales now for quite a few years, and very soon will become a Gittimer certified advisor as well. Had the pleasure of learning from the foremost expert on sales in the United States anyway, and that is Jeffrey Gittimer. If you haven't checked out Jeffrey Gittimer before, I encourage you to visit buygittimer.com. Jeffrey has a very no-nonsense, no punches pulled approach to selling. The game of sales has changed dramatically over the last probably 20, even 10 years, 5 years for that matter, with the advent of social media, where anyone can look up anybody and get the real scoop of what's going on in that business 24/7 via the internet. One of Jeffrey's favorite quotes is, "People don't like to be sold, but they love to buy." That's true. Think about how many people go out and buy things that they absolutely may not need. The key is to convert their want into a need, which puts it into the buying process. If you think about, gosh, well, people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. So I gotta learn more about selling, right? No. Flip the script. You should learn more about buying, because that's what people want to do, right? Don't focus on the negative. People don't like to be sold. So why would you focus on the negative selling? Focus on the positive of that statement, the buy. Find the why behind how they buy. That's the key in regards to the statement. So what you need to do is figure out, what's the buying process like for them? What do they experience in the buying process? What are the stages they go through in a buying process? Key on that is to actually look and see, does their buying process match your selling process? Does it match the helping process of how you take them through the sales process? These are all things to look at and examine in regards to your business and how you're helping clients find the services that match their needs within your company. The why before the buy. First off, you want to set up a very positive environment for your prospective client to buy from you. So let's take a look at everything possible that your client could come into contact with in regards to the buying process with your company. First off, first impressions. What is your client's first impression of your business? Does your reputation precede you? With us at Tailored Weddings, we're in a very small market of 12,000 people in Escanaba, Michigan. We kind of have the reputation of the expensive DJs. which is okay as long as we maintain our status quo or greater of the number of events we want to do. We keep our staff happy, we keep our clients happy that book us, and as long as they say they got more than they paid for, we're happy. So those may be goals of yours as well. But what is that first impression of what they see? Is it the reputation preceding you? Is it your person on the phone who answers the phone? What do they say? How do they take care of your client? Is it your website? Is it your Facebook page? Is it your YouTube page? You know, Scott Faber, a good friend of mine and a fellow DJ trainer out of Arizona, talks about, is your marketing schizophrenic? And that's where, is everything congruent? Do you have the same logo, the same colors, the same catchphrase, the same slogan, all of that? Do they all match across your marketing platform? And you want to look at that and see, maybe your YouTube page isn't fully developed. Maybe you don't have the same photo, cover photo on the YouTube page that you do in your office when people first walk in. You want to have these same congruencies across the line. Tailored Weddings is doing brand new business cards right now. And on our TVs in our offices, we have Apple TV rotating pictures through of weddings that we've done for clients. And part of the congruency that we've established is some of the same photos that are on the TVs are also on our business cards. So now when a client gets that business card and they walk into the office, now they connect those two images together. It's more of a familiarity with our company, and it makes them feel more comfortable with us as a company when they first come into the space. You want to look at your colors. What do your colors say about you as a company? If you have green, green is go, right? It's a very soothing color. It can be a soothing color. And green is also the color of money, which some people could kind of take as greed. So you got to be careful with your color choices. Red is the color of love, right? Beautiful color. I love the color red, but it's also the color of stop. You may be sending a mixed signal to your client if you choose different colors that may not fit the palette of what you want to go for. One of the oldest tricks in the book in regards to sales, if you will, and this goes back to real estate, is the realtor will make a fresh plate of cookies in the house just before a client walks in. That has that feeling and that aroma of home and deliciousness, and will make the client more palatable to actually look at that property and put them in a positive frame of mind. So be careful as a DJ, as we all are, right? When you're looking at how your office smells, like I said, first impressions are everything. You want to look at your surroundings as well. Is the trash can overflowing with the fast food meal that you just ate when your client walks in? What did they see? Sit where they sit and actually take a look around and see what they see. Now again, I'm guilty of these things too. Don't think I'm sitting here holier than thou, but we always need to take a step back and look at things of how our client sees them. So we're pretty cognizant of those things here at Tailored Weddings, to be able to make sure that our clients are taken care of and we are looking at the big picture of what they see when they come in. But something you may or may not be thinking of. What did they smell? What did they see? What are you offering them for a beverage? Maybe you have a nice Keurig coffee maker in your company office that you can offer them coffee. Maybe it's water, maybe it's tea, maybe it's soda, whatever it might be that you're offering them. Make sure it kind of reinforces your brand. And if you are a higher end company, make sure it's a little more higher end on the side of things. Everything you offer, everything you do should match the brand and the quality of the company that you want to be, that you strive to be, what you put out for your reputation in the marketplace. Setting a buying atmosphere also starts with your clients themselves and how you make them feel comfortable when they come into the space. Not just offering something to drink, but what are they wearing? Who is your client? Okay? Are they more local Joes and local Jills, and they're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, or maybe jeans and a button-down to your office to meet? Or maybe you're meeting at a restaurant. you don't want to completely outdress your client and make them feel uncomfortable with you. I normally try to dress just a half a step above where my clients dress typically. So for tailored weddings for us, hey, this is pretty much it. We're rocking a button-down polo and khaki slacks. In most cases, is what we wear for sales meetings with our clients or even planning meetings with our clients. We want to be business casual. I'm not going to rock a suit because in a very blue-collar town of 12,000 people, that's just going to turn off our clientele. Now, obviously at an event, it's different, but here, meeting with them face-to-face, in person, more casual setting, it's business casual for us here. So think about what you wear as well, who you are. Think about who you are when you're with them. Who do you want to be when you're with them? Who you are and who you want to be with your client has a major impact on whether you get the sale or not. Oh my God, I need to book this sale. I need to book this bride because I've been struggling so much over the last month and I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. You're not going to book them because you have no confidence. You have to have positive affirmations before they walk in the door. The easiest way I've found to help brides and to help myself earn their trust and earn their business is simply by helping them. See how you can genuinely, truly help them. It's when I'm already booked for a date and a bride calls me and we're completely sold out for June 7th that I can sit here and say, you know what? This is what I'd look for in another DJ that you're looking for. And then you become the expert. We talk about be the expert in the Las Vegas DJ show seminar that I gave and the CD-ROM that's available, MitchTaylor.net. But being the expert truly is what you want to be in your client's eyes, because now you're the authority. You're the person that can help guide them through the event, take responsibility for the entire success of that wedding reception. That's a lot of pressure. Remember, public speaking is the #1 fear in America, and you want to make sure that you can get that across to them that you've got this. You will take care of everything for their entire day and paint yourself as the expert for them. So the key here is make sure you help the bride and groom with what they want to achieve for the wedding day. Going back to a sales mentor of mine, Jeffrey Gittimer, he's posted in a tweet before, I guarantee you that more sales are lost due to poor questions and poor salesmanship than are lost to lowest price. That's true. So if you want to get better at the sales process, you want to get better at figuring out the buying motives. Let's go back to you for a minute. Why do you buy? Why do you buy anything? What is your buying process? What are the steps that you go through when you decide to make a major purchase? And maybe you are a major purchase for a bride and groom. Maybe you're not. I know wildly successful companies on both ends of the spectrum, and even some in the middle. So think about what you mean to that client, and think about what buying process you go through to get there. So now we're sitting in the office with our clientele. We've sat with them. We've created a great first impression with our sight, our smell, our handshake, our attire. We've talked about how we can help them. We've gone through that process. Now we want to figure out how we can best serve them. What can we offer to them that nobody else can offer? What is your strategic advantage between you and anyone else that they may work with? What is it that your client wants more than anything else for their event? Now, figure out how can you position yourself as the expert where you are the only one that can give it to them. How can you do that? Jeffrey Gittimer, and I'm going to paraphrase here a little bit, in his little platinum book of Cha-Ching, which I have right over there actually, posted in the book, or wrote in the book I should say, that if you get nothing else out of this book, get video testimonials of your clients. And that book was published in 2007. So a lot of us feel that the video revolution is all of a sudden just hit, and oh my gosh, we got to have video testimonials. Gittimer was on this back in, heck, 2006 probably, when he was writing the book. So the point is, dear viewer, that if you don't have a way to capture video testimonials for your brides and grooms, get one. I mean, my gosh, you've got smartphones these days that can shoot video. You've got handheld cameras that can shoot videos, little flip video cam. My good friend DJ Jer from Jeremy Breck, DJ Jer Event and Lighting Design, he shoots all of his shop time videos on a little flip cam. I saw it here when he was here in my office just last week. So I would encourage you, go out, invest the $100 or whatever it's going to cost you to get this done, because these video testimonials that you shoot of your clients will earn you more money over and over and over again. Some of the superstars in our industry, like Jason Janai and Mike Walter and Bobby Carpenter, have been doing vlogs, video blogs, for quite some time now. And I would encourage you, if you haven't utilized that vehicle for creating something about your company, for clients to get a sneak peek into the weddings or events that you're producing and creating for your clients, do that. It's so important, because truly, how can a client know what you're going to create for them if they don't see you perform for them? I tell all of our clients on the phone, or many of our clients on the phone for that matter, that entertainment is one of those things that is intangible. She's going to try on her wedding dress before she decides to buy it. She's going to taste samples of the caterer's food and the baker's cake before she decides to sign on the dotted line. She can't try on her DJ. You're an intangible service. So it's really important for them to make the right decision on choosing the person they're handing a live microphone to in front of all their friends and family. Because let's face it, you're representing the entire family on the wedding day with that live microphone. You hold the power in your hands. So again, get that message across to them in the buying process. When you're talking to them about their wedding day, find out if that's important to them or not. Find out what's most important to them or not. And then deliver that. We also cover the fact of, hey, you are handing a live microphone to a complete stranger in front of all your friends and family. That's why we have a sit-down meeting with you face-to-face before the wedding day. That's why we get to know you in our planning process, to make sure that we can truly represent you well on your wedding day. So dig deeper with the bride and groom, with the questions that you're asking, with your clients that you're meeting with. Dig deeper with questions to find out truly what they're looking to do, what they're looking to create, and how you can benefit them the most. We want to examine the buying process from the flip of the script, if you will. Don't look at the selling process. Think, how can I get better at sales? Think about how you can get better at the buying process. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Mitch Taylor for Disc Jockey News TV.
Well, that's Mitch Taylor. Mitch Taylor, one of my favorite people. Thank you, Mitch. If you want to know more about Mitch and everything he knows, he's part of our virtual training connection, and we want you to be a part of it. So just click on the link below, and you'll know more about Mitch and more about what he can offer you in your service. Now, the next person here is a gentleman by the name of Joe Locke. Joe Locke's going to be talking about photography for DJs. He sounds a little weird because he's from UK. He's from UK. He's from UK. I mean, I don't know the K. UK?
England.
He's from England.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I'm a mobile DJ based here in the UK, and I create YouTube videos trying to help other DJs in the industry, creating product reviews, tutorials, gig logs, tips videos, just kind of trying to share knowledge with the rest of the mobile DJ community. So I was asked to create a video for this virtual expo, and I decided to talk not specifically about DJing, but I'm going to talk about photography. which is quite relevant really, considering my Canon DSLR just died as I started to film this video. So apologies for the slightly lower video quality. I'm using my backup camera here because my nice camera decided to stop working. Anyway, so why photography? Well, you need to have good looking photographs of your mobile DJ setup and good looking photographs from events you're working at. And now that the DJ industry is so competitive, it's even more important that you have those good looking photographs to use as marketing material. Possible clients are going to be looking at those photos, and if they're kind of poor quality, badly taken photographs, the client's just going to cross you off the list because your photos don't look as good as the next DJ. So I'm here to give you kind of a basic photography tutorial for taking pictures of your DJ setup. So I'm going to start off with the basics and then move on towards the end of the video to give you a load of tips that you can take away. So let's get started. Now, high quality, good looking professional photographs will really help you sell your mobile DJ service. You can use them for your website, business cards, flyers, banners. They're really useful to have for marketing your company. Now, to get good looking photos, you need to balance 3 different controls on your camera. You have the aperture, your ISO, and your exposure time, known as your shutter speed. Now, if you're using something like this compact camera, you should be able to get some okay looking photographs when the lights in the room are turned on. The difficulty comes when it gets dark. Compact cameras tend to automatically increase the ISO. ISO is basically the sensitivity of your camera's sensor to light levels. So to give you a better idea of what this noise actually looks like on your images, I've got a bit of a side-by-side comparison here. The lower ISO images are very clean and there's virtually no noise there. As you start to look at the higher ISO photos, you can see that digital noise there. It really ruins a photo. Now, how much noise you actually get depends on your camera. Some cameras will perform much better in low light and be able to output images with very little noise at higher ISOs. So it really depends on the camera you're using and how it performs. Now, the best way to get good looking photos in low light is to use a DSLR. So here is my camera, a Canon 600D. The great thing about DSLRs is the ability to change lenses. So when taking pictures in low light, you want to have a lens with a wide aperture. So here's a little diagram to explain how aperture works. It's really simple. It's basically the hole in the lens that allows the light to pass through and reach the sensor. The larger that hole, the more light can enter your camera, and therefore the better it can work in low light situations. The way we measure the aperture is with the f number. The lower the f number, the larger the aperture, and the more light can get into your camera. So if you want to shoot in low light, you need a lens that has a low aperture number. A lens like a 1.8 is great for shooting in low light. It has a nice wide aperture. And then you'll get lenses with higher apertures like an f4 or an f5, and that becomes more difficult to shoot in low light. You'll also find lenses with a variable aperture. This means that the aperture changes depending on how zoomed in or zoomed out the lens is. So the numbers quoted on the lens are the maximum aperture, the widest the lens can go and the most light it can allow into the sensor. So here I have my main camera lens I use for all my videos. This is a 24-105 f4 LIS. So this is an f4 lens, which isn't the best for shooting in low light. The best thing to do is get a camera lens with a wider aperture. And for Canon users, you won't find much better bang for your buck than the Canon 50mm f1.8. This lens has a fixed zoom of 50mm and has a very plastic build quality, though it does make up for this with those incredibly sharp images and that incredibly low f1.8 aperture. This lens is perfect for taking pictures of your DJ lighting in low light environments. Now, the only thing you need to think about when using camera lenses with a lower f number is you'll get a much shallower depth of field. So your depth of field is how much of your image is in focus. If you have a very deep depth of field, all the different parts of your photo should be in focus, whether they're close to the camera or far away. Now, with a shallower depth of field, you're not able to get as much of your image in focus. Now, you may be able to get the foreground of the image in focus, but stuff in the background will be blurry. And that depth of field is controlled by the aperture. The wider the aperture, the shallower the depth of field. So here is my camera filming at about f10. You can see most of the image is in focus. Now, if we go down to an image with f1.8, only a small amount of the image is in focus. It has a much narrower depth of field. So you may find for some images, if you want to get more of the background or foreground in focus, you may need to increase your aperture. Though for most of the time, this won't be a problem. So what if you can't afford a new camera lens or a new DSLR? Well, you could just use a tripod with your compact camera, and this allows you to take longer exposure images. Now, when I say exposure, I mean the exposure time, also known as the shutter speed. This is basically the amount of time your camera is taking the photo for. The slower the shutter speed, the longer the exposure, and therefore more light can enter your camera, allowing better performance when taking pictures in low light. You will start to have problems though if you expose your photos for too long. Any slight movement of the camera while you're taking the photo will cause horrible motion blur in your images. Now I mentioned earlier my 50mm f1.8, it's a prime lens, but I didn't really explain what a prime lens is. Well, it's basically a lens that has a set zoom. You can't zoom in or zoom out, the zoom is fixed. Now the great thing about these lenses is they usually have a lot wider aperture and they're a lot cheaper. So when taking photos in low light, it's all about balancing the settings on your camera. Keep the ISO as low as possible to reduce noise and grain on your images. Keep the aperture as low as possible to allow as much light into the camera as possible. And also keep the exposure as short as possible to reduce any motion blur of taking photos. Now this is just a basic tutorial I'm making, so if you want to find out more information about how you control your camera and balance these 3 different elements to get the perfect image, there's loads of tutorials on YouTube that will be able to help you. So that's the very basics of photography, the keywords and the important things you need to know. So next up I'm going to give you a load of different tips that you can take away to help improve your photographs of your DJ setup. Firstly, use a tripod. Because you're going to be in such low light conditions, you're either going to have an ISO that's through the roof or you're going to get really blurry photos. If you put your camera on the tripod, you can have a longer exposure, which means you can have a lower ISO and still get a decent quality image with low grain and no motion blur. Go for some unusual angles. Loads of pictures on DJs' websites are just the same front-on shot of a DJ setup. Try and get some interesting angles that capture the atmosphere of your DJ lighting. Try to control your lighting. If you're able to have it so that the lights are on but the beams aren't moving, it'll make it much easier to photograph. Because you're going to be having a longer exposure, if the lights are moving, you'll get trails and blurs in your images. Though if you wanted to, you could try and experiment with this idea, getting some really interesting photographs with blurred trails of light. One of the most important points, be critical. Don't upload 500 average photos onto your website, only put the best ones online. Another important one, keep it tidy. Try and hide away all cables and unnecessary bits of equipment like flight cases. Try and keep it looking really neat and tidy for your photographs. Avoid using the camera's built-in flash. Because the light source is coming straight from the camera, you're going to have a very flat image with no shadows. You really want to have multiple light sources to give good depth to your image. So if you really want to use a flash, make sure it's an external one and have it offset from the camera so you still get good depth to your image. Keep it truthful. Make sure your images are an accurate representation of what your rig actually looks like. Otherwise you'll end up with some very angry clients if your setup looks like a nightclub in the photos but you turn up with a disco ball and an iPod dock. Don't be trigger happy. Don't just click away taking hundreds of photos. Take your time, think about your composition and your framing of shots to get the best possible photos you can. Providing it's okay with your client and their guests, try and get some nice photos during the event. You can even try and get some really nice images with your audience silhouetted against your light show. Get pictures of people enjoying themselves. Remember, it's the atmosphere people care about. Your clients aren't going to know that a Pioneer CDJ is better than a Newmark dual CD player, so don't get photos of specific equipment. And lastly, be unique. Try and make sure your photos really make your setup and your business stand out from the rest. Bad photos won't sell your service. So there you go, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you got something useful out of it. I know it's not specifically DJ related, but hopefully you can take this knowledge and go ahead and improve your photographs of your DJ setup, and hopefully out of that, get some more work. So if you want to find out more about what I do and the video content I create, you can go check out my YouTube channel, that link is down below, youtube.com/JLDJUK. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Looking for something different to spice up your Friday night? Want to know how? Make tonight a karaoke night with karaokedownloads.ca. Start with our free karaoke player. Then search our extensive song selection. The songs are affordable and easy to download right to your computer. You can even preview your songs before you buy. Not sure where to start? Let our experts help you choose. With our starter genre packs, you're a click away from a party. Visit karaokedownloads.ca and make tonight a karaoke night.
Hi, my name is Jim Weiss, and I'm really excited to be a part of the first ever Disc Jockey News Virtual Expo. Today I'm going to talk to you about a few things. First, I'm going to start off with some Facebook tips, and then I'm going to follow up with some tools and resources you may find useful to be more productive in your business and even save you some money. So first, as mentioned, I'm going to start off with Facebook. My first tip is to use the list that Facebook allows you to create. So you can create lists for different categories of your friends. So whether it's family, just friends, acquaintances, business contacts, DJs, clients, vendors, you can create all those different lists. So that way you can really target who sees your posts. I see so many people posting things as public, and I'm not really sure why, because anytime you post something public, it's going to be on your timeline pretty much forever unless you change the privacy setting of that post. So let's say someone is going online and looking for a DJ, and they say, well, let's go check out this guy's Facebook page, your personal page, again, not your business page. They want to get to know you, the person, the DJ who's going to be at their wedding or other special event. So they're going to go there and they're going to look at that, and they may see something that, you know, kind of turns them off. So then they say, well, let's move on to the next guy. So if you can change your privacy settings on your posts and really target your posts to whoever may be of interest to them, that's a really good thing in my opinion. So keeping an eye on how often you post different things about weddings or other events that you're doing. A great example I like to give is, imagine you have a friend who's a realtor, and every time they go to show a house and every time they sell the house, they're posting a picture and talking about it. I'm friends with a lot of wedding vendors and a lot of DJs. So Saturday nights, my Facebook feed is just filled with wedding stuff. And I know I'm not the norm, but a lot of people do post a lot of things about their business. And that's fine, but just realize that after a point, people may just start to hide your posts, and they won't like your posts, and they won't engage with you, and they won't remember you possibly when someone asks for a referral for a DJ, because they say, well, man, that guy just posts so much about his business. It's kind of annoying. So just a tip for you in regards to how often you're going to post about that stuff. And you can even target it too. So maybe one time you post about it and you're showing all your wedding vendor friends and clients and past clients and future clients something that you've done recently. And maybe the next time you're going to show, you know, all your friends and family something that you've done. And again, you can do that with the lists feature that Facebook allows you to use. So now on to some tools that you may find useful. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is Intuit IPN. The beautiful thing about this service is that it's really cheap in terms of it's only 50 cents to accept a payment, and payments are electronic checks. They do allow you to take credit cards. There is a normal processing fee. I believe it's 3.25%. So it's about the norm, about on par with what everyone else charges. But what you're really trying to do here is just get your payments via check if you can. How I use it is I just send my clients a link to my page and just say, here's where you will pay your deposit, and then when it's time for them to pay their balance, here's where you pay your balance, and then they pay it. Every so often I do get someone that says, hey, do you take a credit card? And I'll tell them, you know what, I do, but the fees are higher for a credit card, so that's why I don't have that option turned on right now, but I can turn it on if you want it. Most people don't know that there's a fee for the business to take a credit card. So once they find that out, so many people respond back and just say, oh, yeah, no big deal. I'll totally pay with a check. I didn't realize that that was an issue, and I didn't realize you'd be charging a fee or being charged a fee. The other nice thing is keeps everything all online. So it gets rid of the whole checks in the mail sort of thing. So that way you can just kind of move things along, and your bookings might be a little bit smoother and come in faster. So the next service I'm going to talk about is called EchoSign. And EchoSign is a digital signature tool. I really love EchoSign for a variety of reasons. Number one, I would sign, after my clients would sign the contract, they would scan it and email it to me or fax it to me. Then I would sign it. Then I would have to scan it and email it back to them. So many steps there. With EchoSign, you send it to the client after everything's all ready for them. They sign it. It goes to you. You sign it. It automatically will email both parties an executed copy of the contract. So it gets rid of all those scanning and faxing and emailing steps and just makes it so seamless and so fast and easy. And you or your clients can post from pretty much anywhere. I've signed on my iPad, on my computer. I don't think I've tried a phone yet, but I'm pretty sure that will work. So the service is free for 5 contracts a month. So you can send 5 contracts a month and have someone sign them for free. And if you want to link it up with your Twitter, where it'll just say, it'll automatically post to your Twitter, hey, I just sent out a contract today using EchoSign or some sort of ad, they give you another 5 free. So for a lot of people, that may be enough to fulfill your needs as far as contracts go. So those 10 free a month. Their plans start at, I want to say, $15 a month if you do a larger quantity and want to have access to be able to send more. But the nice thing is it's all online, and they have a really great database, so you can log in at any time and go view a contract that someone signed. It's all in the cloud, so it's all there for you in case you ever need to access it again. You can also see if the person has looked at the contract. So that way, instead of guessing, oh, did they get it? Did they see it? Was there something they didn't like? You can actually log in and see, oh yeah, they saw it on this date at this time, and you can even send them a reminder. Most people return my contracts very, very quickly, since it is as easy as just clicking a button and signing it. But if it's taking them a little bit of time, you can hit the remind button and send them a little reminder. So my next tool is called Follow Up Then, and this is really awesome if you need some help following up on your leads. So you go to Follow Up Then's website, and you will sign up for an account. Then after you sign up for an account, you can BCC a variety of different email addresses, and it'll just kick that email back to your inbox. So an example might be, you might respond to a client's email, and you will BCC 3d@followupthen.com. So that means that in 3 days, I'm going to get that email back in my inbox. And why that's awesome is, for someone like me, I like to keep my email inbox really clean. So when that shows up back in my inbox, I'm going to go find the original email that I sent that client, respond to it, and just check in. Hey, do you have any questions or anything? Well, oftentimes the follow-up then will come in my inbox, and I've already heard back from the client, so I can just delete it. But if I haven't, I can send them a follow-up. For me personally, I like it better than just scheduling a reminder on Outlook, because I'm notorious for just hitting snooze. It's so easy to just hit snooze, but I really like having a clean email inbox, so that's one reason why I really like Follow Up Then. It's super fast just because you really are just BCCing an email address, and like I said, you could do the 3D at Follow Up Then. You could do anything you want. I like the 3-day follow-up. You can do 4D for 4 days. You can even do hours. You know, if you need to email someone back within a few hours, 3h@followupthen.com or something like that would work as well. Finally, my last one is called Banana Tag. Banana Tag is really awesome because it allows you to track your emails. So it's tracking a couple different things. It's tracking opens and it's tracking clicks. So when it tracks opens, it's going to just tell you if someone opened up the email that you sent them. And that's really nice because sometimes, we second guess, hey, did they even get my email with spam and all that sort of stuff? So it's going to tell you if they got it, because if they opened it. And then the second thing it'll tell you is if they clicked on any links. And what I find interesting is I see people with these really, really long email signatures. And I have a really short email signature. And it is so rare that someone clicks on my link in my signature. So it might give you some time to think about maybe revising your signature if you start using something like Banana Tag, because it will show you that people really aren't really clicking on the links in the signature, so why clutter up all that space and just add to your email that much more with wasted space. So the nice thing about Banana Tag in regards to being able to see the opens and the clicks, not only is the immediate, so you just respond to a lead, you respond to a lead and you see that they opened up the email. That's really nice in real time, but it's also really great for the future as well. A great example might be, say you haven't heard from someone in a few weeks and you did your follow-up, you didn't hear back, you're wondering what's going on. All of a sudden you get an email from Banana Tag that they opened up your email, and you're thinking, wow, I haven't heard from that person in a while, but they're back in wedding planning mode. Maybe something happened in their life. They went on vacation, something came up personally, but now they're back in wedding planning mode because they opened up your email. I personally wait a day or two when that happens, but then I follow up. I give it a day or two, and I just say, hey, just want to check in with you just one more time, make sure you didn't have any questions or anything. And more often than not, I'm going to get an email back pretty quick, and they're going to say, you know what, it's really funny. I just was looking at your website the other day again, and we're starting to look at this aspect of our wedding. So it's a really great way to just kind of keep tabs on everything and see when your emails are being opened and see who's clicking on your links. Banana Tag is free for up to 5 emails being tagged a day. I believe the fee, if you want to get more than 5, is $5 a month for unlimited. I just do the free version because I don't want to tag every single email. I don't want to get an email back every single time someone opens up one of my emails. I just want to know, for the really important ones that people are opening them. So I hope that these tips and some of these websites and resources were helpful to you and will help you make more money and be more productive in your business.
Great stuff. Up next, we've got Bill Hermann and Jason Jones from the Entertainment Experience with our next seminar. Now, they're from the entertainment experience, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that, it is a very, very cool training program. I actually went through the entertainment experience back when they were first starting out. It's a great time to come in, and they're going to take some of the things you know about producing or putting together an event, take those things apart, and help you to rebuild in a way that's going to be guest friendly, that's going to include people in that you probably wouldn't think about. You're going to be looking at different aspects. It's a great experience, and for those of you who haven't checked it out, you need to go and pop out to billcreates.com, and you're going to find more information about this, and it's something I highly recommend. But right now you're going to be watching a segment that Jason and Bill did. They were traveling with the entertainment experience down to Australia, and this is a session that was recorded down under. Bill Hermann and Jason Jones from the entertainment experience.
Does anyone here not know who Bill and Jason are before today? Did anyone rock up and say... Okay. Well, again, I met Bill and Jason at Mobile Beat when I was there 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, they've been stalking me on Facebook ever since. So they finally followed me to Melbourne, Australia. When they left their home, like I said, their front yard was under 3 feet of snow. And then they show up in Melbourne and it's 40 degrees all week. So how do you think they feel? They love it here, don't they? So let's hear it for Bill and Jason.
So where we make most of our living is doing private events, and we've all done private events, whether it be wedding receptions, whether it be birthday parties, whether it be corporate events. You are hired to bring your rig in, to stand in front of hundreds to thousands of people, and your job is to have them have fun and stick around, right? And the number one thing that's most difficult for most of us is knowing or taking on the idea that we actually can. We are in charge of keeping people longer. There's only so much we can do, right? It's the music, it's the volume, it's the taking requests. That will hopefully keep people, and we kind of live in hopefully keeping people. And one of the things we talk about in the entertainment experience is around the ownership that you take in an event that takes on the entire event, not just you pushing play on your rig and picking the songs and making sure things happen, but really taking ownership of the event from the beginning until the end, so that you can actually influence how long people will stay at your events. And that is the number one thing that people will be most amazed by what you do, is if you're there and their guests stay longer than at any other event they go to. Well, I work mostly in the wedding business. I do corporates, I do everything else as well, but my biggest reputation is in the wedding business, but I find that it kind of goes back and forth. So that's why we decided to talk about the top 3 ways to keep people to stay at your event.
So these are just a few pieces that we've taken from the entertainment experience 3-day workshop experience, which is packed with things. So we pulled like some elements, because every time that we share, and when we do share, we want you to be able to take something away and be able to implement it. Like something that's going to make a difference for you, whether we're just giving it away now or whether it's part of the workshop or whatever that is. So we pulled out three top things that in our experience makes a big impact on people actually staying engaged and staying at the event that you have going even longer. And that's really, and it's from the context of the entire reception, from the beginning of the reception till the end of the reception.
So the first thing we talk about is setting the stage. Setting the stage takes on the entire event, okay? When you walk into a room and you say to yourself, well, this is what I do for a living, okay, so if I'm going to be, where I am, where the dance floor is, how the room is set up, is going to affect what you do, right? We know this, but we always feel like we're held by the decisions that are made by the event coordinators before we even get there. So we just kind of take what we get. That you show up and, well, there's where you're going to be. Oh, and your dance floor is going to be over there. And we're going to put the bar on the second floor downstairs around that corner. And that's what you have. So you have that, right? Because you don't have control over that. Well, that's not, I found, my experience is that's not true. If you take on the ownership of wanting to be sure your clients get exactly what they're paying for, you now have a conversation with them about how you know the room should be set up best so that you have the greatest impact on how things go.
And so, well, one of those things, speaking specifically to the dance floor, is talking about like, even as you look and ask yourself, if I were to be able to make every decision about this room that's going to be able to make what I do easier. In other words, it's going to be able to help me keep my dance floor longer, keep people engaged longer, keep people involved longer. And then you start talking to your clients about those things in advance in your consultation. It can open up a whole world, and it's also going to make their event that much better.
Absolutely.
Because the catering staff, I mean, they're doing what is going to make their job easier. They're going to do what's going to make the dinner experience easier, but they're not necessarily thinking about the entertainment experience of what's happening.
That's why it looks like we're second nature, or we're just a throw-in, right? I mean, then it's not them being disrespectful to us. They're in the catering business. Their room looks best this way. And then we get our food out fastest and best service this way. So this is why we set it up like that. But you're not necessarily working for the facility managers, as much as they'd like to think that we're now an employee of theirs that needs to announce where the bathroom is, and they can't dance with glassware on the dance floor, and oh, there's a light on with a car in the parking lot. Be sure to make an announcement like that. You're not really working for them. You're working for your client. So why wouldn't you tell your client, who are not entertainment coordinators, they are accountants. They work out in stores, you know, selling shirts. They don't know the first thing about what we do. So we want to be sure, okay, well, you're also hiring me. I know you're getting catering and the food's going to be wonderful, but how much impact do you want me to have? Well, we want you to have an amazing impact. Great, well, I will have the most amazing impact if you put me near the dance floor. In fact, if you put me on right in the center, okay? In fact, the bar out in the hallway is not really going to help you be able to affect those people in the hallway. You realize that. I mean, bring the bar into the room. Bar, drinking, dancing usually goes together, right? We know that. They don't. The facility just says, hey, you know, we got a hallway. And it's nice out there, too. We should use the whole space. Of course they can use the whole space. And they're going to choose how to do that. But you should have your 2 cents in there. Because you will be judged on how the event goes and how long you keep people. And if afterwards you say, well, I could have told them if they would have brought a bar in here, I could have affected those people in the hallway. Don't wait for that. Have your conversation early with your client to let them know, you know, this would be best for this and this would be best for this, best for that. Now, with that information, sir, choose. You choose how you'd like this to go. Now, you've also covered it for yourself, because if he puts it in the bar, in the hallway, and the things don't go real great because people are drinking and they can't hear you anyway, then he gets that you can't touch those people. And he understands the expectations of what you do. Does this make sense?
Because we've all seen it, right? We've all seen it, been there, where we're performing and we recognize how people can easily become psychologically disconnected from what's going on. As simple as there being a barrier between the dance floor and then the visiting area, or a barrier in the room that can psychologically disconnect people from the event, from the festivities and things like that. And so by looking at that in advance and talking just about like the layout of the room and talking about like how having the dance floor in the center of the room, because 2/3 of the night is going to be spent people either watching other people dancing or people out dancing on the dance floor and that sort of thing, keeping the bar in the room so people don't lose have that psychological disconnection. Or even if think of the weddings that you've gone to, when you've gone to someone's wedding, and if they have the bar out in the other room that's far away from where the dancing and the partying if you go out there and have drinks for about 20 minutes, you start to have conversations about what should we do next, because you're kind of getting disconnected from the party and what's happening and things like that. So, you know, it boils down to, those are 3 key things that have been really important for us. But even as you look at other things and just ask yourself, what things in this room could disconnect these guests from the celebration that I'm creating for my clients so that they're bonded and connected to everything, you'd be amazed at what comes up in your own head for you. Like, oh, I see that could be a problem, or this could enhance this experience. Just
that really is your job, right? I mean, your job is to make sure everything goes well. And so many of us believe that, who am I? I mean, I don't know, I shouldn't really tell them, you know, I'm just showing up with the music. You know, why should I tell my client this, or why should I? Why should you? Because they paid you a lot of money to know more than they know. That you should tell them what you know, so they can make really informed decisions to make sure their event goes well. Not because you want to outshine the catering or anything else that goes on. They just want from you the best job that you can bring to the table. And for that to happen, you need to know what's expected, or what's expected of them for you. Why do you think rock stars that come into town to play the arenas here in Melbourne have an actual rider? There's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons are, hey, you want my best performance? The stage better be a certain way. Sound system better be a certain way. Okay, you better be sure you sell my stuff on the floor when I tell it. All the stuff they need to be sure they come with their A performance, their A game. This is in their rider. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put it in a rider. I just have a conversation with your client. Because they now see you as, oh, thank you for telling me. Oh, no one ever goes, well, who are you? No, they hired you because you are who you are. You are the expert. So if you're going to sit back, I never want my client, I never in a million years at any part of my event, do I want to sit back and go, man, I could have told them that wasn't going to happen. I shouldn't have done that. Well, they told me weeks ago they were going to do that. I should tell them. And that's the preemptive conversations that you can have with everything we're talking about, including setting the stage.
So the next thing would be like really creating unique surprises. And that can be as subtle as a small twist on things. It doesn't have to be, good grief, thank goodness we don't have to reinvent the entire thing for every show that we have to do. But just, you know, small unique surprises throughout the entire thing for the guests. So that they're excited and anticipating what's going to happen next throughout the night, whether that be through dinner or even throughout the dance. It's a conversation and a point of view that you have for yourself, or just looking for ways in which you can do that.
Well, there's a reason to look for those unique surprises as well, is because everyone that comes to an event, wedding receptions or a birthday party or a corporate event, they walk into a room, they see a room that they've seen a million times. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they see a DJ, they know what they're going to see. They do. Great, no matter how unique you think you are sitting in the chairs here, and you are all very unique, they have seen the same guy at every event they've been to. There's very few people in the room that have seen anything unique. They've seen the guy show up with an oversized sound system, with a black jeans and black tennis shoes and an old tuxedo shirt and a worn cummerbund in front of stacks of speakers, and they do what always happens. So when they're expecting what always happens and they see it 15 seconds into it, then they know they're not going to be surprised. So that's when they start having that disconnect that Jason was talking about. Oh, when should we go? We've been here before. We've seen this. So unique surprises really can be just something simple. Simple. Well, the way I started to do it was to deconstruct my events. Deconstruct what you do now. Every little thing. Look at how you make your first announcement, to how you introduce guests or speakers, or introductions for a wedding if you did a wedding, or if you get in, once again we talk about weddings, there's bouquet tosses and there's garter removals and there's all those things that people do at wedding receptions. And the reason why a lot of us do the same sort of thing is almost like because there's like a 190-year-old guy that's been going around saying, okay guys, let's all get together on this. We're all going to do this the same way. Okay, well I get it. It's easy that way. Or you can take it something as simple as a bouquet toss and say, well, how many different ways could we do this? I mean, if it was up to me, could I do 5 different ways? Yeah, I'd probably do 5. Well, what would they be? And they start deconstructing what it actually is, why people do it, why it's important, what's actually involved with it, right down to the props, from the flowers to what they're going to do and how they're going to throw it, if they're going to throw it. Now you deconstruct it. Now you can deconstruct it in 10 different ways. Now you do a bouquet toss that has just one thing that's different, and now it's unique. Now you have a unique surprise. Now, you can make it way more elaborate than that. Doesn't have to be, though. It can be those simple things. So start there, because unique surprises come out of you, and you are all creative enough, regardless of how creative you think you are, be able to deconstruct something into something else. Whether it's going to be good or not will depend on now your skills and how to present it, and or the first time you try it, or whatever that is. But don't be afraid, because they're dying for it, man. They're just dying to see something different. And if you give them one piece of different at the beginning of the evening, now, oh, that was different. Well, I wonder what's going to be next. Right. What's the next different thing we're going to see?
Well, the great thing is that it's not as difficult as you might think. Like, oh, I got to come up with a million creative ideas and sit down in your basement and brainstorm and come up with like the creative. Eureka! I've got a new bouquet toss. Your clients give it to you. The more that you get to know them, the more that you know their story, you know what's important to them, you know things that happen to them in their life, you know the games they like to play in college. You know, the more ideas will pop out of that, things that you can create that's meaningful to them, that'll be meaningful to every guest in the room, and be a really fun activity that's completely relevant to the experience and so deeply personalized that everyone's going to be asking, like, so how are you related to the bride or groom? Are you a cousin? What's the deal here? How do you know them so well? Because you cared enough to ask. And beautiful things come out of that. And it's like just handed to you. And then it's just a matter of really logistics, right?
It really is. And presenting what you've come up with is here's an example. I had a client that a couple of years ago when the Olympics were in China, and it was specifically a couple of years ago, because now we're going to the Olympics again, right, in Russia. But the Olympics were in China. I'm sitting with the client for the last 2 weeks before, for the last planning meeting we have for their wedding reception. We're talking about the introductions, and we're doing some fun scripting things for introductions. And in it comes the fact that she has been studying to be a personal trainer at the University of Minnesota, and that she's also been working as a personal trainer for some of the sports teams and things like that. And she's very excited about the Olympics. I said, well, what are you so excited about the Olympics? What is it that you like about the Olympics? She says this and this and this, and she says, hey, you know, it's always been my dream. Someday I want to be a trainer at the Olympics. Trainer at the Olympics. Well, maybe we should do an Olympic type of thing, because it turns out now we looked at the date, and the date of the Olympics opening ceremonies was the actual date of their wedding. So, okay, well, why wouldn't we at least, you know, find the Olympic theme song at the very least? But then as more we talked, the more we came up with the idea of actually doing an Olympic grand march for them. Okay, an opening ceremonies with flags and 3 tiers, staging, and we brought people in, and the bride and groom came in first, and everybody that came in won a gold medal for being the best buddy, or being the best friend, or being the biggest drinker, or whatever they came up with. It was brilliant. It was so much fun, and it simply came out of that little conversation around what that was. Okay, and after that, all I had to do, I went and bought 300 little flags. Everyone in the room got a flag. The bride and groom draped themselves in the American flag as they ran into the room, you know, and they gave out medals, and we made big announcements. It was so cool. It came out so well that the local videographer that was there videotaping the event sent his person away early to run his footage to the local news station, and it was covered by 3 stations. Because that just came out of what are you into, and what is important to you, and does that sound cool for you? And I wasn't out there being, you know, I was the master of ceremonies, but it had very little to do with me. And when it is about them, and you realize what's important to them, and you make it about them. Remember, you've got anywhere between 100 people to 1,000 people in a room that have that one thing in common. Why wouldn't you play with that one thing? That one thing they have in common. You're going to bring them together around something that's cool, and then a bad presentation does well. Do it even better. Now you've got people to talk about it for weeks and weeks and years. And that's just an example of how I was able to make something that we do all the time into something that had a special, unique surprise to it.
And that came out of the skill that we all need to develop, more so even than our MC speaking skills, more than our mixing skills. I would say more than any other skill in our business is the ability to truly listen to what our clients are telling us.
Our clients, our audiences.
Our audience, have to truly, truly listen to them. Just like turn off your brain and everything that you could do and really, really tune in and listen to what they're saying, because they're giving you all the gold that you need to spin, like, you know, I don't know, do you spin gold? Anyway, whatever you do, they're giving it, they're just handing it to you on a platter, and you're like, we can do something with this. Like, you know, and taking all the pressure off. And then you've got all these things to work with and create with and make every single, so that someone could go to 3 of your weddings and never feel like they were at the same one.
3, they can go to all of your weddings. Honestly, I mean, what is the most, the only thing that's the same at people's weddings are you. And you don't have to be the same. Because if you express the client, express yourself for them, then you are never the same either. No, and you can do the same bits, man. You really can. But do it in an expression of these people, for these people. Because you care for these people, and now they can't wait to see what's next. Even if I've got clients that have seen me 5-10 times, because if you're any good at this, you know, you're not advertising anymore. You're literally seeing client after client after client. And they never come up to me and go, man, you never get old, you know. I mean, they don't come to me, well, that's not the way it comes up. Because when they come up to me, oh yeah, I could mouth your script, man, every day of the week. Even though there's a few things that I say the same every time. They're like, wow, you just get better. It just gets more interesting, it gets more fun. And I do have my scripts, man.
And I think it's important to point out too, I mean, like doing the Olympics grand entrance, I mean, that was pretty grandiose, like kind of a big thing. And it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be giant spectacle every time, and it's not necessarily the goal. I mean, it could be simple as saying, oh, you don't really like doing the bouquet toss? Well, you know, what else could we do? Well, how about if we, what if we put all the girls in a circle, and we put a blindfold on the bride, and we put them all in a circle, and then we just had them like going around in a circle, screaming for that bouquet, and she presented it, and she was surprised. What do you think of that idea? Just a small twist on something, or to change something up. Then anything that breaks the predictability of an event, and your best opportunity to break that predictability can start at the very beginning. It could start with your icebreaker. It could start when you come out and say, I'm about to introduce the bridal party, everyone, it's going to be great. And how you do that, put a little twist on that, any small little thing, and your guests are going to be like, oh, this is different. Oh, I should pay attention to this. Oh, we should look at this. This is going to be fun. And suddenly, like, the way they listen to you is completely shifted from like, oh yeah, the DJ's talking again. So it's really nothing important, I'm sure, to like, something good is going to happen. I want to hear it. And so then it's shifted the entire dynamic, which for you as a performer is better than the paycheck you get at the end of the night. When they're like, I had the best time I've ever had at a wedding. Ching in the bank.
It really is it's a point of view shift. It's a point of view shift. Honestly, I mean, we've all come out into a room full of people and started to speak, and regardless of what's happening in the room, we've got what we're going to say, and it has to get out. So we get through it, right? Well, the first time I had a point of view shift around my announcements was when I was a boy with my dad, who said to me, the first like paid thing I did was when I was a boy. It was a hospital gig. My dad worked at the hospital. It was a company party, and I was up there just playing songs and talking between every song. Mostly because I only had one turntable, so I'd play a song and the song would be done. So well, that was Sonny and Cher, and it was a great song. And we're going to play another one here from the soundtrack of Jesus Christ Superstar coming up right now. And I did that at every song for like 45 minutes until my dad finally came up and says, you need to shut up. Well, why, man? I'm doing, this is what we do. This is what radio people do. He says, no, if you have nothing to say, you have nothing that matters to us, then don't say it. Which said to me, if I'm going to say something, it should matter. And if it's going to matter, you're going to listen. So when I speak, I open my mouth for a couple of words and I'll wait. I don't care if it's 10 people in a room or 1,000 people in a room. I will not continue until I have every heart and mind with me, listening. You're at the bar, I'll wait for you. You're over, you're talking to your girlfriend, no problem. Okay, you're on the phone, put it down. I have a silent room, I continue. That by itself makes a room go, this is different. Because DJs are usually, they just talk like mosquitoes while we're all having our conversation, where they don't really pay attention. I want to be sure they pay attention, but at the same time, if you're going to do that thing, you want to be sure that when you do have something to share, it is actually something they care about. And then, oh, that was good, because you did, they're going to listen the next time. The uniqueness of what you do is really important. And if you don't know how you're unique, then start going through your ideas and like I said, deconstruct them, or start writing down the million things that we all do, and then cross out all the things that everybody else does. Try that one. That's a scary little exercise. You might find out you ain't nothing special, or you may find just that one thing. That's really all you need.
And the third thing and the final thing, and probably for me personally, is probably one of the most powerful things to look for, to be able to have the guests on the edge of their seat, always wondering what's going to be next, how is this going to be different, and looking and longing for that, is creating anticipation. And this is something that it can be done verbally, it can be done non-verbally. Again, it kind of comes from a point of view of how you're setting things up, how you're scripting things, as well as even how you're setting something up in a room. Doing for example, like a non-verbal creation of anticipation happened to me actually by accident once. I was setting up to do a love story and people were finishing dinner, and I thought, well, I have some chairs that I'm going to have them sit on, and so I was going to set that out on the dance floor and have that ready for myself. So I just set the chairs out on the dance floor, and of course that was in the middle of the room, and people were kind of finishing up their meal and things like that, and I was getting ready to start with folks doing speeches, and this lady comes up to me, and she's like, excuse me, I want to know, when are you going to do whatever that is you're going to do with the chairs? Because I have to take my dog upstairs, and I don't want to miss it. And I'm like, this is beautiful. Because it, like, just setting the chairs out said something's going to happen that doesn't usually happen at a wedding that I've seen, so I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss whatever it is that's coming up. I'm in a state of anticipation, always eager. And if you've ever watched a lot of American TV, anticipation is everything, right? Very little payoff, all anticipation. People love to anticipate. When you're getting ready to go on a trip, you're thinking about it. You almost enjoy fantasizing about it before you go, even more than you do the actual trip. Because what do you do when you get on the trip? You start thinking, oh my God, I'm going home in 3 days. 2 days. Oh no, right? It's anticipation, always, constantly. And so by creating that, everyone is going to be excited. And you can do that verbally as well.
Well, and I'm going to go off a little bit of a tangent too, but I mean, one of the things that you notice that I noticed when he brought up his idea of the fact that he just did a nonverbal cue for the room is something that you should be aware of all the time. Should be always in your head. Write it down in your booth. Put it on your hand. Do whatever you have to do. But remember, if you're in the room, you're always on stage. Always. They saw him put those chairs out, and they probably saw this. Sat behind our gear. You look serious. We know we're being serious, right? They're watching you, okay? They're watching you all the time. Take one little nugget away from this little talk, put a smile on your face, keep it there all the time. You have to take that weird smile off your face. You think you're feeling creepy, great. Go in the other room so you can go, oh, what is this? Oh, okay. Because they see you. They see you all the time. And if you're doing something weird, if you have a glass in your hand that doesn't look like water, you're boozing it up at the party. Okay? I'm serious. They're always watching you. They're expecting to be entertained, so they don't know when the curtain's going to open. You're not backstage ever. And for some reason, we all think that this invisible thing that kind of goes up every time we drop the microphone. And they're not, well, because I'm not talking, they're not watching me. No, they're watching you all the time. So those verbal cues are so very important. You can use them, but they're very powerful because they're watching all the time. And
so if you pick your nose a lot, I'm sorry, they noticed.
And the verbal cues, is very much like what I said about creating anticipation, like how when I introduce myself, I get everyone's attention. Trust me, if I say, please give, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention for a moment, and I wait, and I get a room full of people, it takes a while. There's some anticipation that's happening while it happens. Sometimes I'll ask for it, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll just make the mic live and I'll start talking to a little kid. I did that one time. I went over to the middle of the room and I kind of stooped down and started talking to this little boy. I was, what's your name? Yeah, I'm Davey. What are you here for? Well, my Uncle Charlie's getting married. And all of a sudden the room just started getting quieter, quiet. They're all looking. Got a silent room and I just stood up with Davey, put him on the chair. I said, say hi, Davey. There's anticipation creating right in there. Okay, when I introduce myself and I say, hey, there's special things that are going to happen tonight. When I open this mic, something great's going to happen. Enjoy your meal. Anticipation. Okay?
It's simple, yeah.
It really is simple as that. It really, really is. And you want people waiting for the next thing. So if you can verbally ask for it or non-verbally, trust me, it is a very powerful piece of what you do that will keep people with you all night long. Because they now just can't wait to see what you're going to do next. Just be sure that each time you do something next, doesn't scare them, freak them out, make them want to run for the audience and want to run for the exits.
Well, and the beautiful thing is, like, everyone enjoys the experience of being pulled into the next thing. Nobody likes being pushed. In other words, kind of barking orders at your audience that you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and then you're going to do that. The only person I know that can get away with that is Robert Huggins, because he's so charming. Because they're like, yes, Robert, we'll do that, absolutely. It was amazing. But most of it. But if you have a practice of inviting them to do the next thing, then they're like, absolutely, where are we going to go next? They've established trust, they trust you, they want to follow you, they want to go wherever you will take them.
And it's
so
a deliberate
far, it's been
thing.
great, and it's very deliberate.
You want it very deliberate. You need to be sure you are deliberate about it. If you're going to create anticipation, don't just do it for fun. You're doing it because you want them to see the next thing. That'll help you with your transitions as well. So be deliberate. Know what you're doing and where you're going, okay?
All right, so that's all we have. I will mention that there are a couple of seats left in the Entertainment Experience Workshop. If that's something that you've become interested in the time that we've been here or talking or whatever, just stop us and we can go ahead and arrange that. Otherwise, it's just incredible to meet you, and I look forward to getting to know each of you individually even better.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was such an amazing experience that we had down in Australia. I feel really lucky and privileged that we get to travel and meet the extraordinary people that we were able to meet down under. If you are interested in learning more about the entertainment experience or you would like to participate, there are still seats available. There is a workshop in November that's held at Electro Voice headquarters here in Minneapolis. And also we're doing another one abroad. We're actually going to be doing this in London as well. And we're really excited about meeting everybody across the pond. So that'll be terrific. And you can go to BillCreates.com to check that out. Now, I'm very excited to introduce my next speaker, of whom I've given many names to, but is most frequently known as Robbie Britton. Yes, not as in from the UK, but actually from Tennessee, where he puts on a terrific show known as Arms DJ. Arm DJs! Arm DJs!
Plural on the DJs.
You know, it doesn't really matter what the title is because the show is amazing. You always learn great stuff and meet really amazing, fascinating people. So put it on your calendar and find it online. In addition to that, Robbie has been putting out ideas for games and activities for years. He's like the game king. And if you're looking for an idea, he's the one. In fact, coming up next is a really great idea that he's got just for you. This is for the corporate DJ, or if you do corporate gigs, this is the noodle game.
So this is the scenario. You're at a company picnic and you're in charge of doing the interactive games. The problem is there's lots of distractions going on. You've got a moonwalk over here, the big slide over there, clown over there, a magician running around over here. Way back there you've got the food tent, and you've got to draw people in, you've got to bally the tip. Well, this game is a cool way to do that because it builds on curiosity instead of doing what most people make the mistake of doing, which is begging people in. You really can't, and you shouldn't, get on the mic and say, hey, we're playing games, come on up here, play my games, and beg people in. That's just silly, and people won't buy it. But if you've done the right things to, say, build the first impression, like we talked about in the first episode of Interactive on a Mission, you look the part, you've got that first impression going on, your system's set up and very inviting, that's a first impression, and you've mingled with your guests and got to know everybody and gave them a chance to know you. That's another great way to kickstart this event and help you bally the tip. So what you've done, if you've done your homework, when you're mingling with everybody, you're finding out who you can kind of pick on or who you can bring in to do the interactive games. So in this case, what I would advise you to do is actually bring a few people up that you've mingled with other and told them, hey, you're going to get a chance to win some free stuff. We're going to play a game. So you kind of spike the game, start out with that. So what you do is you get your participants and you have them staged and ready. You basically turn on the mic and you announce you're going to start a game. And you call the game Build a Noodle, and you get your participants ready, and you go from there. So let's go into more detail exactly how this game is set up. Basically, this is all you need. You need some swimming noodles, you need some masking tape, and you need some participants. That's it. So swimming noodles can be found, and the masking tape can be found pretty much in any department store. The swimming noodles is pretty seasonal. They're easy to find in the spring. During the summer, they're okay to find. At the end of the season, you need to buy them up because they're usually on sale, but they're real hard to find in the wintertime. So if you plan on using these things a lot, I would buy them up just as quick as you can find any of them. And I'm sure you can go online and order some, but it's got to be expensive. So I would just go into a typical dollar store or a Walmart, any place like that, and find it. The tape you can find in any paint section at any store. It's the wider masking tape. It seems to work a little better. The smaller tape just rips too quick and easy. But this stuff does kind of rip kind of easy, and it makes it pretty fun when they're trying to stick this stuff together with the masking tape. So this is the way it works. You have 2 teams set up, 3 participants per team. Each participant gets a roll of tape, and then you give each team 20 swimming noodles. 20 swimming noodles seems to be a pretty good number because it gives them enough hope to think that they're going to build a really tall structure, and it's pretty funny. Anything less than that, it's just not as funny. But when they try to use all 20 swimming noodles, it's hilarious. Trust me on this. And what happens is the noodles aren't that solid of a structure. They tend to flex and bend, and of course the tape is going to rip pretty easy. So that's going to make it pretty funny. Now, when you get ready to start the game, you have some kind of energetic song queued up. I usually use some of the stuff from Crazy Frog. It's just kind of generic enough, and it's funny enough, energetic enough to play in the background. Of course, I've got the microphone on, and I'm calling the play-by-play of the game. So as one team starts really accomplishing something, I basically let the other team know that they're getting ahead of them and create excitement with them and help kind of get those nerves going when you're playing the game. Now, doing this, you're also making, you're drawing a lot of attention. You got the colorful noodles being built in a tall tower, and you're on the microphone focusing on what's going on. You start building curiosity among the rest of the guests. So the people start kind of looking and start gathering in, battling the tip, to what you're doing. Now, as you play the game, you give them typically 3 or 4 minutes. If they need more time, you'll give them a little more time, just mix in another song. But once time is up, you tell them to back away from the noodles, and then you give it 10 seconds. What's going to happen is these noodles are going to be pretty flimsy. When you give them 10 seconds, they're going to start swaying and stuff if the wind's blowing or anything like that, and it really builds up anxiety and gets the crowd more involved. So you give them 10 seconds, maybe long 10 seconds if it looks like it's just about ready to go, or a quick 10 seconds if you want to kind of cover one of the teams and help them win. So that's basically how you play the game. You determine the winner by who has built the tallest structure, and the crowd, big applause, and that's Build-A-Noodle. Now at the end of the game, you've got 2 piles of noodles, and you've got people gathered all around because they've came from the moonwalk, the slide, the clown, the magician, even from the food area to see what's going on. You've got to be ready to do something next. And you're looking at all the noodles and stuff that's laying here. What are you going to do? Is it going to take time to reset to get the next game going? No. I've got a game for that, and I'll tell you about that on the next episode of Interactive on a Mission.
Looking for something different to spice up your Friday night? Want to know how? Make tonight a karaoke night with karaokedownloads.ca. Start with our free karaoke player. Then search our extensive song selection. The songs are affordable and easy to download right to your computer. You can even preview your songs before you buy. Not sure where to start? Let our experts help you choose. With our starter genre packs, you're a click away from a party. Visit karaokedownloads.ca and make tonight a karaoke night.
Hello everyone, my name is Bill Lage and I'm in the Twin Cities. I've been a mobile DJ for 20 years, living in Minnetonka, and I currently service all of Minnesota, North Dakota, a bunch of different places. Well, I do a lot of weddings, I do also a lot of school dances, and I do a lot of church events. Those are my 3 main areas of focus. But the thing that really makes me a unique DJ is the interaction that I do with my clients. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about interaction and give you a few very simple tips, stuff you probably already know, but maybe a way of thinking a little differently and how to do things. So this is going to be my little video on interaction. Number 1, and by far it's probably the easiest thing that even a beginner level DJ could do. It's called the sing-along. Now, this has been popular for many years. You basically play a song that's very familiar. It's been played on the radio more times than you care to admit, and they will sing along with the music, right? So here's what I do. For instance, currently right now, and again this changes with the breeze, but I always think it's important to be up on current trends, up on what's popular. Here are 2 songs that I've been doing over the last 6 months. Every school dance that I do, I play Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. I stay away from the video, don't need that controversy in my life, but I do play the song Wrecking Ball. And during that part, just before she kicks in with the chorus, that really hard, I am in like a wrecking ball, that part, right? It really sings it very emotionally, very passionately, and having everybody sing that as loud as they can always sounds quite amazing. If you haven't tried that one, try it. It's getting to be now a little bit out of date. I mean, there's even, Miley Cyrus is kind of fading. Her little craziness was crazy for a while, but still try it, because I guarantee you that you'll have some good results with that one. Another popular one, I do a lot of church events and a lot of family events. just a week ago, I did a family event out in a park for the 4th of July, and I played Let It Go from the Frozen soundtrack. I had everyone singing it, and I had so much fun with it and making them sing, and again, with a lot of little girls, especially little tween girls in the teenage years or before the teenage years. They all knew the song, and they were singing at the top of their lungs, just having a good time. I even made a little comment. I said, it's nice to know that if I wasn't a DJ, I'd be a good choir director, because I was even going like this, directing them as they were singing, just having fun with it. And everyone was joining in, and it really, really was powerful. For some of you guys who do a lot more of the classics, the old school, things like Piano Man, where they can sing along, that's definitely a good one. Anything like even Journey, Don't Stop Believing, have them say, put your arms around your neighbor and sway when you start that song. And they're singing back and forth, and then they start singing, Don't Stop Believing, and they're having a great time. So the sing-along is probably one of the easiest things to do, but I know a lot of DJs who don't do it, and I really highly recommend it, because what's going to make you different than an iPod, than a laptop just playing music? Engage with your audience. Interact. Ask them to do something. So the sing-along is definitely one of my favorites. The second favorite interactive tip that I have is play some more line dances. I mean, break out the electric slide from back in the day. Do the cha-cha. Do the Cupid shuffle. In fact, bring that up a notch instead of just doing that, because I guarantee you every DJ who's listening to this has played it, probably plays it every weekend. Bring up your game. Try making one up. I actually have done a few myself. I actually do one called the Taibo dance, which I've also then rebranded and made it my own, and I call it the Catholic dance. And if you haven't heard of what the Catholic dance is, then you're not on YouTube, or you're not checking out my stuff, which is fine, because, who am I really? But the Catholic dance is something that I've now turned into my own thing, where I do a lot of Catholic youth rallies, and I tell them to be proud of their faith, and I have them do this silly little line dance, but they love it, and they use it, and they take it, and they share it with other people. So I think line dances are underestimated. I think some people think they went away when country music started. They had a little popularity back in the early 90s or the 90s, and then hasn't been as popular since. They're still very popular. In fact, I definitely recommend doing a line dance, and if you can, make your own. That's something that I've done, and I've made a pretty good interactive career with it. Here's another thing with the line dances. You might say, well, other than the cha-cha, other than the Cupid shuffle, how do I learn or find out about line dances? Here's what I've done. I've gone to a lot of live concerts. I've also gone to a lot of things like the online disc jockey news workshop convention, right? The online one. I've gone to ones like at Mobile Beat and in Las Vegas. I've really participated. I've learned a lot. One of the interactive routines that I do is called the car wash. About 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I went to a Mobile Beat in Vegas, and this guy came out with this big old afro wig, and he came and he showed him this little thing doing the car wash, right? And I saw that. Now, I said, I like how he's doing that, but I can do that, and I can do it differently, and I can do it a different way. That may or may not be better, but to me, it works out for me. So I now do the car wash on occasion, and I do it similar to what I saw 10 plus years ago, but I've added my own flair, my own style. And by doing that, it's now my own, and it's now something that I do that's unique to me only. No one else does it the way I do it, and I think that's an important part of interaction. Here's another thing. Like I said, I go to a lot of live concerts. I went to something called Jingle Ball, where they had all these artists. I saw Miley Cyrus. I saw Enrique Iglesias, and one of his songs, he put his hands straight up like this, and he made everyone do this. And then what he did was he said, "Follow me," and he went like this. He started rocking them back and forth as fast as he can, much faster than that. But he was going back and forth because it's one of his very, very fast beat songs. And I saw the whole crowd, everyone put their hands up blindly, followed him doing this like crazy. And I said, hey, if Enrique Iglesias can do this, so can DJ Bill. So I actually have now taken that part and I put it into one of the songs that I do, one of the interactive dances that I created. And I keep thinking, man, if I would have went to that concert and saw what they did, this is a guy who's making way more money than I ever will make. And basically he's doing this, I can do this. So I recommend going to live shows. How about playing a slow song and having everyone, if it's like a school dance or if it's even a wedding, have them take out their phones and turn on the little flashlight on their iPhones and sway back and forth with the phones. Ask them to do that. By asking them to do it, they'll say, okay, you might get a few people doing it. You might get everyone doing it. Either way, it's something worth trying. And I recommend trying these things because if you don't try, you'll never know what the result could be. Another one. So that was just kind of watching live music and learning from what you see and taking it and making it your own. I highly recommend that. So watching and learn from live shows. One of my last tips that I'm going to give you, and this is a weird one, so you're going to have to go with me. Don't be scared of cutting the music. I think silence is golden, and I think at times, if done right, silence can make you look like a rock star. Here's an example. One of my favorite songs, Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. And there's a part in there where basically they're all singing it, time has got da, right? And they're going, and then they go, oh, we're halfway there. Then you cut the music at that point, and everyone goes, whoa, living on a prayer, right? They do that, and they just freak out. And you're not even playing the music at that point. They're doing it all by themselves. Some old school thoughts on this one. YMCA. I always say, let me hear you, and I play the music really loud when they do it, and I say, just this time, just you, and I cut the music. Another example that I use was Don't Stop Believin', right? At the very end, I get them clapping and singing, Don't Stop Believin', and I cut it like the Sopranos ending, right? I just kill it, and they keep singing it, right? And I just let them sing it for as long as they want. They could keep going on for another minute or so, and I'm like going, and then at the end, they're all kind of, okay, we're done here singing. So I just kind of laugh at them, and I say, just so you know, the song's been done for about 30 seconds. And they all kind of giggle, and then I go right into my next song. Silence is wonderful, and if done right, I think it can be a very powerful tool. And again, these are very simple interaction things. You don't have to be a line dance master. You don't have to do a show like I do where I get on a stage and I try to be a superstar or a rock star. Sometimes your audience isn't going to want that. Sometimes you're not going to be that watch me do what I do guy. Sometimes you're going to need to just do the very simple things just with your mixer board and your microphone. Those things can be just as powerful and just as strong if done correctly. So here's what I think that's important. Some tips with the interaction. You want to be current. I mean, right now, like I said, things like the Miley Cyrus, popular songs, even like her Party in the USA. I think one of the things that I do, here's another little trick. Here's another tip. Now this could be 4 or 5. I lost count somewhere in there. Change the words or add your own commentary to what is being said. Now, obviously, whenever an artist or whatever they do are singing the song, they're singing certain words, right? You can change the words. You can make them your own. In fact, where she says, oh, party in the USA, what I say, I turn it down there at that last one, and I say, there's a party right here, baby. And I say that just like that, and everyone laughs, goes, woo, and all the people go, woo, and it's fun, and it's awesome. And again, it's just you trying to be fun, having fun with the music, and having fun with your crowd and with the people who are dancing and having a good time. Because that's the interaction that separates us from being just a person who hits play on a laptop versus someone who actually is a performer, someone who is wanting to be more than just a jukebox, someone who wants to really engage and leave that lasting memory. So these are just a couple of the tips that I have. Think outside the box, because at the end of the day, it's that thinking that's going to make it fun. Here's kind of another example that I used to do that I can't do anymore because, well, here's why. Outkast, the song Hey Ya. If you ever watched the video, they used to do this with their hands, and they'd go like this, and then there's a part in there that says, shake it, shake it, shake it like a Polaroid picture. Well, during that song, I used to take a Polaroid camera out. I used to take pictures, and basically each thing of film had like 10 pictures. So I go, hey, say cheese, I'd hand it out to them. I'd walk around the thing, and then at the end, I'd take a picture, and I'd have the last one. So there's 10 of them out there. And then I'd jump on one of my speakers, one of my subwoofers, and I'd say, all right, get your Polaroid pictures up and shake it. And then they'd kick into that part, shake it like a Polaroid picture. Just doing simple things. I remember someone used to play You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer and would throw out inflatable hammers. Inflatable hammers, because it's MC Hammer. See, you just kind of go with the theme of whatever you're doing. And I think that's important. I think that connecting with the audience on that level can be very valuable. So, again, think outside the box. Do things like that make it fun. Don't be scared of the silence. And, shut off the music every once in a while and make your commentary. During that Let It Go, the Frozen song, there's a big popular part that says, the cold never bothered me anyway. And then what I do after that is I say, 'cause we're from Minnesota, which is very popular for being cold for all you people in the southern states watching this. So just stuff like that. Add your own words. If there's something that's obscene and you're doing a family show, man, shut it off and just talk over it. For instance, Psy, Gangnam Style, the little silly little dance, right? During that part where it says, hey, sexy ladies, now that's not that offensive. I get it. But when I'm doing a family dance where there's little kids here, I don't really want it to say that, right? So I actually shut off the music and I say, hey, did you realize that this is the most popular video ever on YouTube? And then I turn it back up. And then they're looking at me like, okay. They're confused. But the fact is I've edited my music now to where it's clean and fun for everyone. That's it. That's all I have. These are just a few very simple tips for interaction. I hope you get something out of it. I hope to start sharing some of my interactive videos with you sometime. But again, I'm easily reachable. My name is DJ Bill. You can check me out at djbill.com. And enjoy this video. God bless. See you soon.
Thanks, Bill. That was a great video on interaction. For getting into the interactive world, Bill Lage is a guy you need to check out. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to interacting and working with teenagers at dances. For those of you who've been just joining us tonight for the first time, well, around us you're seeing virtual booths. We've got the different sponsors who are the ones who put the financing into this so we could bring this to you. Click on their different virtual booths that we have around here. Go to their websites, show them some love, because they're the ones who make this happen for you. And of course, if you look down below, you'll see some of the Disc Jockey News links. We've got some really cool things with our virtual training, which we've talked about. Also, you'll find our e-edition link down there somewhere, where you can go and check out the print edition of the Disc Jockey News. Disc Jockey News is a newspaper. We've got some really cool articles that come out each month. We've got a great staff of writers who are bringing you some of the best content each and every month. Which brings us to our next session, which is by Jeremy Breck. Jeremy Breck is one of our writers who's been with us for a long time, and he does a great job. Jeremy's going to be talking to you tonight about lighting, which is kind of his forte. He'll be talking about angling your lights. Take it away, Jeremy.
Hey everybody, it's Jeremy Breck with DJ Jer Events and Lighting in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And we are working with Disc Jockey News virtual training. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about angles when it comes to pin spotting, monograms, and different things like that, spotlighting and so on. So one of the things I'm going to show you is the different angles that you need to think about when you're doing some of these, when you're doing pin spotting, when you're doing lighting in general. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to show you how to use this is the Chauvet DJ Easy Pin. We're going to show you the different angles and why it's important to shoot down onto your centerpieces or your subject as opposed to shooting at an angle. So we're going to get it a little dark in here because I want you to see all the shadowing, and I want you to see exactly what the difference it can make by using correct lighting and correct angles. So we're going to walk you through all this, and hopefully you guys learn a little something. Okay, so we have our table, and one thing I want to show you about you probably can't see right now, but this is the Chauvet DJ Easy Pin, and people were complaining, well, the outside ring, I want something where it's just the pin spot part itself. Not a big deal. Inside the pin spot, there's actually a little center hole, and if you cover up, if you put something on that hole, as you can see, it gets rid of all the reflection. So again, that's a little tip using these easy pins. It really tightens up your pin, but it takes away that outside ring. As you can see, there's the outside ring. Some people just want that center glow as opposed to this whole outside glow. But we're actually just going to use it as normal right now because I want to show you exactly how the shadowing issues work. And I'm going to grab us a centerpiece. I'll whip this up here in about 3 minutes. So when you're doing your pin spotting, there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. As you can see right now, you're getting shadowing underneath with the flowers. Now, when you are aiming this, I'm going to move the pin spot. Actually, right now it's right above it, but I'm going to move it towards the camera, and you start seeing the shadow disappear. But the thing you're going to run into now is now you don't have shadow here, and you have all the shadowing on the back. So now I'm going to move it on the other side and put it on the back side so you can see the shadowing that I'm talking about. So right now on the back side there is no shadow, but there's a lot of shadow over here. So basically, by having the incorrect angle when you're pin spotting, it doesn't look complete and it doesn't look finished. It looks like you just kind of ran out of places to hang your pin spots, and now it doesn't have a nice symmetry or a nice balance when it comes to, this side no shadow and all shadow over here. So if you do have to work with shadows and you are going to run into shadows, then I recommend getting your pin spot. I'm going to mount this up right above our floral. So right now I have the centerpiece right underneath the spotlight or the pin spot. And what it's doing is it's getting a nice illumination all the way through the entire piece, as opposed to a dark side on this side and a lighter side on that side. Now it's also balancing out the shadow, so my shadow is equal all the way around the centerpiece. It's the same here as it is the same here, as long as the centerpiece is symmetrical, I guess. Now, again, one other thing to think about is if you're working with centerpieces, typically we don't like to do, if they have centerpieces that are high and some are low, we don't typically like to do centerpieces that are high. We usually don't recommend pin spotting them unless all of the centerpieces are the same height, and this is exactly why. So figure this centerpiece is actually taller. Now you really get a lot of shadowing all the way through, and again, it just doesn't give it the look. I guess we're pretty picky about that, but it doesn't give a good look if you have all this shadowing, around your centerpieces. Now again, I talked about if you have something to cover up that center spot, and now you start eliminating some of your shadow, and it starts illuminating just the centerpiece, but you still have that shadowing as it gets closer to the table, or as it gets further away from the table. So again, recommendations: if you are doing high and lows, and they don't want to do every one of them, we usually recommend just doing the lower ones, just because your shadowing is going to be a lot lighter and a lot smaller. Now when you're pin spotting a cake, I'm going to bake a cake here real quick, give me a second. Awesome, just got this done. Now again, when you're working on a cake, it's always good to have either the cake pin spotted straight from the top, or just bring it back a little bit so the front of the cake is going to be spotted. Now, what happens is I'm going to move my pin spot now, and I'm going to put it right above the camera, shooting back towards the cake. And what you're going to notice is it's a nice illumination of the cake. You can see that, but what happens as soon as people start walking in front of the light, now their shadow blocks all of that. And I'm going to add a video from an event we did live to show you exactly why it's important to have the light over the top as much as possible. Again, as soon as the bride and groom comes over to cut this, you've now created a huge issue when it comes to lighting, and now it's not even going to be seen because all the light that is supposed to be illuminating it is being blocked by subjects or people. So, again, when you're working with a cake, I'm going to move the pin spot here. We're going to put the pin spot pretty much above it as much as possible. And what we're going to do is actually bring it over the top and just move the cake back a little bit. So now, if I'm standing right here and I've got my hand, I'm about 4 inches away from the cake right now, and there's still no shadowing issues I don't have any issues with shadowing on the cake. Obviously, when I put it right above, you're going to start seeing some shadowing. So that, again, that's another reason it's really important. And hopefully you don't have the bride and groom going like this over their cake, or guests going like this over the top of their cake. So that, again, that's why it's important to make sure to have your pin spotting or your spotlighting or anything that you're doing from above and shooting down. Make sure that you have it over the top of your object or your subject as much as possible to eliminate all of the issues of people blocking the beam of light that you're creating. What we're working on with the client was they wanted to highlight these boards, which will be hanging up on this backdrop over here. Now, when they use their in-house lighting company, or the convention center's lighting company, they basically kind of took the lazy way out. They had lights already into the ceilings and the rafters, and it was in the middle of the room shooting all the way across to hit this, to spotlight this. Now, with the framing, like the LFS 75 or any Source 4s, the framing will actually allow you to create a perfect visual of light just on that specific thing. One of the things that happened was, because the light was so far away, when people would come up to it, it would actually create shadowing all through here, and it would actually distract from the image. So one of the things you want to keep in mind, and this is very important when it comes to pin spotting, floral, centerpieces, cakes, whatever it is, try to have your light above you, above that fixture, or that piece of that object, as much as possible. Have it over the top. So because that long distance was creating that angle, as soon as someone would walk into it, it would create the shadow. So again, what we did is we actually installed some ellipsoidals almost straight up from what's going to be lit up. So you can see, and this is actually where the fixtures overlap, the lighting overlaps, but you can see the lighting is actually going all through here, and it actually does fill the bottom as well. But again, the things to think about is making sure that you have the right angles. Okay, using the framing, it allows you to squeeze that in, squeeze the light beams in, so you can get a nice clean edge on both sides, and then also across going on the other side that we're working with as well. So again, premium content. This is. So again, when using any lighting to highlight something, make sure that you're not going to have people getting in the way of that lighting, of the beam angle, because as soon as that happens, you're going to create shadowing. The other thing to think about when you're doing centerpieces and you're doing pin spotting, make sure that you don't create a lot of shadowing. And what I mean by that is, again, if your light is actually above the top of the floral, and it's one of those tall pieces with maybe a big ball of flowers on the top of it, as soon as you shine that light down, you're now going to get a bunch of shadowing down below. So one of our recommendations is when you're pin spotting, and they might have a couple different options for the pin spotting, one of the things to think about is maybe not doing the tall ones, or just make sure that your beam focal is a little more tight, so it's not actually outside of the object, such as your floral piece or your centerpiece. So again, small or low pieces of floral centerpieces, those work great, and the tall ones are a little bit more difficult just because you do get that shadowing. Again, in the lighting design, that's something to think about when you are putting your pin spotting up. So to finalize the video here, again, make sure that your beam angles are as close to whatever you're doing as much as possible, so you don't have people getting in the way. Same thing with pin spotting and so on. So this is Jeremy Breck with DJ Jer with Disc Jockey News Premium Content. Hope this has been helpful. You won't find this anywhere on the internet except for Disc Jockey News. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. So you saw a video of us working with the pin spotting on floral pieces, also working on a cake, and then we also showed you some spotlighting that we did at an event, and why it was important to make sure that you had the spotlights or the Source 4s or ellipsoidals over the top as much as possible. Basically, you don't want to create any shadowing, you don't want to create any bad angles, so people are going to be walking in the way, or even when you think about people looking back towards where the light fixture is, if it's above them, it's not going to be as much of an issue going into their eyes as opposed to shooting across the room. I know a lot of people were using pin spotting on totems, or I'm sorry, not totems, but tripods, and shooting them across the room. As soon as someone sits in front of that floral piece, it's basically blocking that section of the centerpiece. So again, really important to try and mount your pin spots, your ellipsoidals, everything up above your object or your subject as much as possible, and shoot it down onto those things. Dance lighting is going to be the same way. Now, in some situations, if you're working with pixel mapping and you want to create shadows like that, it does work into your advantage. But when you're doing more of a production style setup, it's important to make sure that you make it look as clean as possible, eliminate as much shadow as possible, and also make sure if you are having shadow, that your shadow is going to be equally distributed around that object or that subject that you're working with. If you have questions, feel free to contact me. You can reach me at jeremy@discjockeynews.com. Again, it's jeremy@discjockeynews.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
I always love Jeremy's stuff. He's always got really great, something really great to share. If you have a chance, you can search for him on a program called Shoptime, or just put in his name and search in YouTube, and you'll find Shoptime videos where he gives you all kinds of really terrific tips on lighting. He's also going to be another contributor in the virtual training area, which is going to be a huge, really valuable resource for you. So be sure to check that out. That's launching coming up in August, really, really soon here. So if you really like the lighting and you like the tech, you're also going to be interested in a show that we have on Disc Jockey News TV, something else you can subscribe to on YouTube, or get to just djntv.com. And we have a Wednesday night lighting chat where we talk everything lighting, from tech to placement to you name it. It's a terrific weekly show, and it's absolutely free to you. Let me tell you about our next presenter. He handles more of the business end of things. And we know that we can be a great performer, you can be great in the mic, you can be really terrific with mixing, but if you don't have some business skills to be able to combine with that, your business is not going to go as fast or grow or be as profitable as you want it to. He is an incredible resource, so we're really excited to have him as a part of our virtual expo.
Hello viewers, welcome to the Management for Success tutorial series. My name is Michael Kaziz from Staten Island, New York, and I'll be your video instructor for this series. This video on marketing management is the first part of our Business Success series. My goal for these videos is to help viewers find their way through some of the challenges they face when it comes to successful business management. Today I'm going to share with you some knowledge about the topic of marketing and what you'll need to know to help you make wise marketing decisions that will lead to helping your organization grow successfully. These videos, of course, might not be targeted for all viewers, so let me tell you who should watch them. These videos are most suitable for anyone with no marketing training, marketing students that need additional study aids to help them with their subject, business owners or managers with prior marketing skills that need a refresher, and finally, business owners that think they know everything about management because they own a business. As a business owner and as a manager, I've always had a strong interest in marketing as I continually try to find ways to grow my business. For myself, the subject of marketing began early on with hands-on experience and trial and error prior to any management training. Some tasks that I've accomplished included setting prices for services, advertising, promoting, and even designing my company's website. Later on, I went back to school to pursue a graduate degree in management where I learned and studied marketing tactics. Much of how I learned this topic in school was by comparing the decisions I made in the past without any marketing training to what I studied. In some cases, I learned which decisions were good ones and which could have been better choices had I received proper training and knowledge. I'll be sure to share some of those choices in these videos. For instance, one valuable lesson that I learned the hard way was that in marketing, there is no such thing as a status quo. You can't sit still and expect your business to market itself. If you do nothing, your existing customers will forget that you exist. Today I'm going to cover marketing basics in the following overview. First, we'll ask and answer the question, what is marketing? We'll review why we need to know about marketing. And finally, we'll explore how we use standard marketing techniques in our business tasks. So let's look at what it means to define what marketing is. Let's ask ourselves, what is the definition of marketing? Think about that for a minute. What is marketing? In fact, take a moment to pause this video, write down your interpretation of the definition of marketing. Then continue playing this video when you're done. Are you ready? Okay, so do you have your definition of marketing written down? For those of you that actually did this exercise, let's compare what you wrote to a few standard definitions. The American Marketing Association, which is the most significant group of them all on the subject, states that the definition of marketing is the activity and processes of a company for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. Was your answer close to this definition? We'll look at another definition in a second, but before we do, notice that the American Marketing Association's definition, they've chosen to include the phrase offerings that have value. That's important. We'll talk about that value a little later. But first, let's look at another definition, this one from the Investopedia website. They state that marketing is the activity of a company associated with buying and selling a product or service. Now notice that Investopedia included the words buying and selling. Basically, marketing serves both buyers and sellers in the following way. Marketing seeks to discover the needs and wants of customers and then satisfies those customers. Now, it's important for you to understand that marketing and sales are two totally different subjects that often get intertwined together. That's because they sometimes share similar strategies and tactics that overlap one another, so I'll share with you why marketing is different from sales. Leading management theorist Peter Drucker describes a relationship between marketing and sales in the following way. He quotes, "The aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well that the product or service fits him and sells itself. Ideally, marketing should result in a customer who's ready to buy." In addition, the easiest way to distinguish between marketing and sales is this. The topic of sales focuses on the needs of the seller, while the topic of marketing focuses on the needs of the buyer. Does that make sense? Of course, most of you know that sales can be challenging for many different reasons. That's why sales tactics may include marketing methods such as getting to know the customers, establishing a relationship, or sharing with potential customers the benefits of buying the product. Again, these are the tactics used by sales reps in order to sell the product. Despite the sharing of these tactics, if a product becomes unsellable, then a marketing team must step in and research why that might be. They need to focus on the customer's desire to buy. So now that we know what marketing is, why do we need to know about it? Isn't it something that we could just do without and focus instead on other skills such as accounting, technology, or maybe sales? Well, based on what we've already discussed, how could we have a business without marketing? How else would we figure out what makes a product marketable? Marketing experts believe that even if you have a great product marketed poorly, that product will likely fail in the market. Marketing plays an important role within an organization. Marketing helps companies provide the best quality product at the lowest possible price. Organizations strive to provide a continual balance among different individuals and groups. They can't always provide low prices at the highest quality products. Not if they're going to pay higher prices to suppliers, employees, and investors to provide such high quality. Here's an example. I watched the movie Jobs only recently. You know, the one where Ashton Kutcher plays Steve Jobs, the former CEO and founder of Apple? Well, little did I know that Steve Jobs constantly butted heads with the board members with his incessant desire to make a quality product, but at a lower price than some of the board members desired. And it was because the quality he insisted upon was always at a higher cost than what he wanted to charge customers for the product. It was quite interesting. Okay, so what exactly are some of the helpful marketing practices and how do we put them to work? This is where the real fun begins. We've already mentioned a few things, but marketing involves a great many categories. Just look at the picture I keep showing in the presentation and that will give you an idea. We will cover many topics in more detail, but likely not every category in existence. For now, we'll cover what we need to know to find a specific market segment known as a target market. We'll look at ways to conduct market research to find information about the target markets. These smaller segments of the population are characteristics of a particular group of people that would find the most value from your product or service and therefore would be the ones that are most likely to buy. So let's get started with your marketing requirements. Marketing requires the following to work: 2 or more parties with unsatisfied needs, the buyer and the seller. There's the buyer who requires a product or service that satisfies his or her needs. You, as the seller, want to move a product from your shelves, or if you're providing a service, want to fill your calendar with providing that service. The second is the desire and ability of both parties to satisfy those needs. Your customer has the desire to buy your product and the ability to pay for it. You have the desire and ability to sell that product. The third is a way for parties to communicate. This is self-explanatory, but later on we will look at various methods of communication so that you will understand that there are many ways available to promote a product. And finally, a transaction to take place, where both you and the customer have something to gain. This is the value. We've already talked a little about the needs of the seller, so let's look further at the needs of customers. There are two important activities: discovering customer needs and satisfying customer needs. Discovering the needs of your consumers should be your first objective in marketing. You should therefore start with the following: discover who your customers are and discover what their needs are. How do you discover who your customers are? That's where a little marketing research comes in handy. How much research you do depends on how much you want to know. Put it this way: the better you are at discovering who your customers are, the greater the chance you have of reaching your total market potential. Let's look at some helpful market research methods to get you going. Basically, marketers will break larger population sizes into segments. Some of those segments might be demographic, psychographic, or behavioral. The marketer will then decide which segments provide the greatest opportunity to which to sell their products. This segment is referred to as the target market. Let's look at how we can research some of these segments. Demographic research is always a good place to start. Demographic information includes age range, gender, ethnicity, income levels, location of residence, marital status, etc. With this information, you may want to focus on particular groups or areas to market your products and services. You may find, for instance, that geographic areas that have families with higher income levels are more likely to hire your company. This could be important if your service is more of a luxury service as opposed to being a lower costing necessity, or if you provide higher quality services that demand higher prices. As a real-life example of demographic research, I learned, for instance, that 19% of all engagements nationwide occur in the month of December. With this information, I would estimate that a good time to book a vending booth at a bridal show would be in the months that follow, January, February, or even March. But if I wanted to further maximize the total market potential, I may also choose to conduct further research to see when most couples plan to book their wedding from the time of the engagement. Now here's a question for you. How would you go about estimating the total market potential for a possible new product line? Use your company as an example. Pick a specific product or service. What sources would you use for your research? How accurate do you think your estimate is? Using my own business as an example for estimating total market potential, let's look at another method of research mentioned earlier: behavior research. Consumer behavior is a method of researching psychologically how people in these segments behave toward specific products. A lot goes into this research. For instance, the studies can be highly complex and the material it gets into is very extensive. However, one thing I found is that a good way to measure total market potential of a new product or service is to see how well other businesses with similar products or services are doing, assuming they already exist. This I use as a benchmark to measure people's reactions to a product or service. If the product is doing well and high in demand, then there is room for you in the market. This method, identified as the analog method, is defined as using the success of the past or present to project the successes of the future. Customer feedback through surveys or questionnaires is a good way to gather information for your research. With further research, you may find a way to make your product better, different, or unique from your competitors' products. Continuous feedback and research can inspire innovation. The information you gather will also help you price your products effectively. Earlier I mentioned that one of the requirements of marketing was the desire and ability of both the buyer and the seller to satisfy those needs. That meant that the seller had to have an available product or service to provide to the buyer, and that the buyer had to have a method of payment in order to acquire the product. Therefore, they both need to agree that the value of the product delivered by the seller and the price at which the buyer will pay is sufficient. So let's talk about price and value a bit more. Think about this for a moment. Who determines your prices? Is it you, your customers? What about your competitors? Some marketing experts feel that prices are determined by your competitors. Based on what they charge for their products, you may find that your prices are determined by them as well. As we mentioned before, marketing is a balance between the cost to you for achieving the level of quality you desire for the sale of the product, the value of the product to the customer, and what they're willing to spend for that value. In marketing, there exist three basic types of consumers. There's the cost-based. Those are loyal to price, and once you raise the price, will go to the next lowest price. There's value-based, those that are loyal to brand or anywhere they feel they get the best value. This is a balance between the right amount of quality and the most reasonable price. And then there's quality-based. These consumers are those that are willing to pay more for the best quality product. Knowing how to price your products or services takes knowing which type of consumer you wish to target. If you wish to provide higher volume at a lower quality and at the lowest price, then you will want to target cost-based customers. Another important term to know is market share. This is an estimated amount of the overall market which buys from you as opposed to your competitors. This is where a lot of companies make their biggest mistakes when trying to take a portion of the market share. For example, some small businesses that are starting out in an attempt to increase their market share may charge less than their more mature veteran competitors who are more entrenched in the market. What happens is that those cost-conscious shoppers will change brands more quickly than those that purchase based on value. Once you've increased your demand, you feel it's the right time to raise your prices, only to find the demand for your product has dropped significantly. The problem was that you marketed to a certain type of consumer for a period of time, and once you raised the prices, you targeted another type of consumer. My advice is to set your prices accordingly for the right target market in the beginning of your campaign. This avoids confusion among buyers, and you will target the right market. Thank you for participating in this presentation on marketing basics. Be sure to look for the upcoming second part of the series coming soon. Part 2 will elaborate more on gathering customer information through customer relationship management. We'll also talk about marketing communication strategies. Take care for now.
Thanks, Mike. I took a lot of notes, and if you took a lot of notes as well, your business is going to fly. It's going to be great. Thank you again for being a part of our great virtual expo. I'm Bill Hermann with the Entertainment Experience, and our next presenter is also a contributor to our virtual training, something you're going to want to sign up for down at the bottom of the page here, as well as sign up for contests. Sign up for contests. We're going to give away lots of free stuff. And our sponsors, the virtual booths everywhere, just go click, 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 click. Give them some love. This is the next presenter, Glenn McKay, or as they say in Australia, Glenn McCoy. He is another guy who talks a little funny. He and his wife, Miranda, run a great DJ company in Brisbane, Australia. And today, he's going to talk about making things easier for your clients. Take it away, Glenn.
Hi, this is Glenn McKay from G&M DJs. I'm a wedding entertainment director in Brisbane, Australia, and this is part 2 of the Taking a Booking video series. So in part 1 we covered off how to get contact information all correctly. Also we spoke very quickly about event information, making sure we had all the correct event information from that client so that we were fully prepared as we started into the planning process of their event. Now, as I mentioned in the first video, this is not questions you should ask when you're doing an initial inquiry. However, some of these in part 2 might come up as part of an initial consultation or sales meeting, depending on whatever term you want to put on that. So keep in mind that these next set of questions, which is the how and why questions, and also the building trust and being helpful questions, some of these might come up in that initial consultation. Now, how and why. So these are questions to help you get a little bit more insight into that bride. Now, the questions earlier in part 1 were all very straightforward. We're just generating information, questions about their event and questions about them, stuff they quickly and easily can rattle off to you. This one is delving a little bit deeper, and these aren't going to be simple one-word answers. For example, the first question in the how and why section is, how did you find out about our company? So this question is one that you certainly might ask in the initial inquiry stage so that you sort of have a bit of insight going into that meeting. However, no matter when you ask it, it's going to tell you a lot of valuable information. So most importantly, it's going to tell you what advertising or marketing you are doing that is working. So that's a good thing. We all spend money on marketing, which sometimes you just never know where it's going to end up, if it's going to work, if it's not going to work. So this is going to tell you exactly what is working for that particular client and what attracted her to you, or him. So as mentioned earlier in video 1, we're talking mostly about weddings here, so I'll refer to brides and grooms mostly. So you should be able to keep track of where your marketing dollars are working and also where they're not working. So this is going to show you how long various types of marketing take to work, such as how long after a wedding show or bridal expo, whatever you want to call them, are those brides following through and booking your services, or how long after a particular magazine ad is placed is it still effective, or is that Facebook promo that you're doing is that working in a timely manner? Is it attracting brides? Is it not? So I know for us, having a magazine ad, sometimes, like we haven't placed a magazine ad in years, yet we still get brides saying they saw our ad in a magazine, because brides pass those magazines on to each other, on to friends, on to siblings who may be getting married. Also, this will help track things, like I said, so you're going to know directly, instantly, if that Facebook promo is working, or maybe it's a friend of a friend. Whoever it is, you're knowing where your work's coming from. And also allow you to keep track of if particular forms of marketing are attracting particular types of brides. For example, maybe your referrals from a certain professional sort of wedding photographer are always the types of brides that you love to work with, whereas referrals from another photographer end up being brides that are hard to work with, and just those clients that you really want to dodge because they're just totally unbearable. So look at which inquiries are coming from where, and where your preferred type of brides are coming from. Or maybe the brides booking you after attending an open night or a showcase event know more about what they want, so they can quickly and easily deal with you a little bit better. In any event, this data is built up over time, and it'll certainly come in handy. Now, if that booking is from a referral, this allows you to know which of your past clients are singing your praises. So this means you can follow the past client up with a thank you letter, or a small gift card, or a high five, depending on how you operate. Also, maybe the referral came from another wedding professional. Again, this allows you to follow it up. Once again, maybe a small note, a gift card, certainly a thank you note to thank them for that referral and to let them know you're looking forward to working with them again, assuming you are looking forward to working with them again. And so finding out what forms of marketing are working is very, very important. And this will obviously help your business, because you don't want to be wasting money on marketing that is simply not working. So another question to ask in the how and why is, what made you decide to book our company? Now, the answers your clients are going to give you to this question will give you all sorts of information. It's an amazing insight into the mind of a bride or a groom, and will certainly help you to better serve them. So part of this is, it's going to tell you what was it that most influenced their decision. So it could be something you hadn't even thought of. It could be just something that helps you pinpoint a specific marketing strategy that is definitely working, or at least worked on that particular person. It also gives you an insight into how that person buys or is influenced, which may help you if you want to upsell things to them, like uplighting or photo booths, ceremony sound, videography packages, any of these things that DJs offer these days. So knowing how that person buys, and it could be that they liked your Facebook. So maybe posting photos on Facebook with your uplighting is going to help convince that bride. down the track that uplighting might be a good idea for her wedding. Or quite possibly they went to a wedding and saw a DJ and that's all they want, is just the DJ. And they saw your DJ there and that's why they wanted them. Whatever that reason is, that's the main influence of them purchasing from you or booking you, that's important to know and understand. You'll also find out a lot, and I mean a lot, about what your competitors are doing. And because that particular bride or groom has thought about it, they've gone through it all. They've just called the competitors most likely. Unless they've just seen you at another wedding and absolutely loved you and want to book you, they've probably done the ring around or they've searched online. Either way, they have been researching, because that's what brides do. No doubt online. So they're going to tell you all sorts of things. And to give an example, these are some of the things that we've heard over the last few years since we've been asking this question. Some people have booked us simply because our competitors didn't answer their phone. Seriously, they didn't pick up the phone. How people can run a business and not answer the phone blows me away. But some brides are all about, they just want to book something. They just need to get it done. And if you answer the phone, if you answer their questions on the phone, you'll get that booking. It has nothing to do with price. Maybe the other DJ didn't return their calls. That's another reason we've had. We've had brides tell us that they booked us simply because no one else sent them a quote. They've called 5 DJs and nobody sent them a quote. We've had a booking simply because as soon as the guy called, he asked if we do gay events. And I said, certainly, why not? And he said he had called a dozen other DJs in my city, and as soon as they heard it was a gay guy's 21st birthday, they didn't want to even think about doing it. And I tell you what, that event ended up being quite spectacular. I've never seen a grand entrance to a Twilight theme at a 21st birthday before for a guy, but I tell you what, they know how to party, and we had a great night celebrating with them. Also, another reason that brides might book us over competitors, we've been told, is that we called the bride the right name. They called the bride the wrong name. Once again, this hails back a little bit to video 1 where we spoke about checking what the bride's full name is and how to pronounce it. Okay, so if her name's Christiana and you call her Christina, she's not going to be too happy with that. So some of the other things that our brides have told us is the other DJs were too cheap or too expensive. Maybe their website looked old or dodgy or hard to navigate, or they didn't answer their phone professionally. Simply picking up the phone and saying hello is often not the best way to win over a prospective bride or groom. They want to be assured that they're booking a professional service, and a simple hello or, this is Max Plumbing, probably not going to go down well if Max Plumbing also is Max DJ Service, but he answered it with plumbing and probably just lost a client. Maybe they saw DJ XYZ at a friend's wedding and just knew they did not want that DJ and just wanted to book something completely different to that service that they'd seen at their friend's wedding or family member's wedding. We've had clients book us just because we accept credit card. Sometimes a lot of DJs are very small businesses and don't offer that facility here. But in this day and age, through PayPal and all sorts of other options, you can certainly offer credit card at a reasonable cost. And seriously, people have booked us just because we offered credit card. Kind of weird, I think, but hey. Also, maybe the other DJ just didn't offer what we offered. Maybe the other DJ didn't do uplighting, but that client really wanted uplighting, so that's got us an uplighting booking and a DJ booking from the same client. Or the other DJ just wouldn't meet with me, and because we took the time to meet with them, they booked us. So either way, they're going to tell you about this. And when they're telling you all about why they booked your services and why they didn't book someone else, the most important thing you can do is shut up. Just let them talk. Sit there, take notes, let them talk, let them vent. And no doubt you'll be talking to a bride, and she's had all sorts of dramas trying to find a DJ who will answer the phone and do what she wants and, meet sort of somewhere near her budget maybe, or just meet with her. And she's had no doubt a lot of trouble trying to find someone to do this. So, and most likely her fiance, he doesn't want to hear about it. As long as the DJ's booked, he doesn't care. So she's going to love the opportunity to vent to you her frustrations at this because you've helped her. You're the one she's decided. So already you're on her team. So she'll tell you all sorts of weird and wonderful things about your competitors, and at the same time, she's going to be telling you why she booked you. So you're going to be finding out what's working for you. Okay, maybe it did work for you that you took the time to meet her at a location that was convenient to her. You didn't make her drive an hour across town to meet with you. Maybe you were able to show her pictures. Maybe you were able to show her video. These are the things she's going to tell you because you're taking the time to talk to her. And look, brides love to talk about their wedding. And most people, her friends are sick of hearing about it. Her fiance is probably sick about hearing it too. But sit there and listen to it and you'll learn a lot, and you'll certainly get in her good books. And just let her go on as much as she wants. Just take notes, be quiet, agree with her, and take in that valuable information. So that's the how and why section. The next section we're going to move on to is building trust and being helpful. So these next questions are all about helping develop trust with your client. And this is the first step towards ensuring that your client knows that you'll be there to help them and that the success of their wedding is important to you as well. So the question we're going to ask here is, can you help them by finding any other wedding professionals? Now, no doubt you already have a fabulous network of wedding professionals that you can refer at a moment's notice. So why not put this into practice? And these are most likely the people that you prefer to work with. So let's help the bride and groom find a great supplier. Plus, the added bonus is you get to work with those suppliers that you enjoy working with. It's a win-win situation. And who knows, they might even shoot you a nice thank you card or a gift voucher or a couple of high fives to make it worth your time referring them on. It doesn't cost you anything to refer somebody work, and it always comes back one way or another to you. Even if your client says no, that they don't need any help, that they've got everyone sorted, at least they know that they can rely on you for that information. They know that you have a fabulous network of wedding professionals that you can refer them to if one of theirs pulls out at the last minute, or they're just not confident with another supplier. Maybe their photographer's frustrating them. They might come to you and ask so that you can refer them on. Another question you might like to ask: is there any aspect of their entertainment or wedding in general that they're concerned about? So firstly, this is going to let you know if there's any aspect of your service that they're concerned about. Now, most likely this is the first time that they've planned a wedding, and maybe the first time they've ever hired a DJ. So they're no doubt nervous about the success of their wedding, and you want them to be 100% confident in your services. So let them ask questions and then reassure them that with your answers that you're going to be able to deliver the service they're requesting, that you're going to be able to deliver that to them and ensure that their night is a success. Don't promise them things you can't deliver, but just make sure that they're 100% confident in booking your services. And secondly, you may be able to use your experience at a wedding to help solve a problem that they might have. Maybe they don't know the best way to lay out the room, or they're stuck on creating a nice timeline for the night. And this is all stuff that you can certainly help with. Or if you can't help them, you're probably able to refer them on to someone who can help them. And this will certainly help win them over, build trust, and it's definitely being helpful. So you're the expert in your client's eyes at this point, and they love that ability to tap into your knowledge. And at this point, you're well on your way to having a client that will rave about you before, during, and after your event. And when you've got clients who are desperately trying to sell you to other people before an event, it's certainly a powerful position to be in. So that wraps up part 2 of our 2-part series on details to ask and questions to ask when taking a booking. So keep in mind that this phone call to a client is a very important call. So be sure to remember to be excited about being on the phone to them. Remember, they're paying you money to be at their wedding, so that's a great thing. And so not only is this information going to help you gather all the essential information you need, but you'll learn a lot about what's working for you, what isn't working for you, what your bride thinks about you and your competitors, and it will definitely help you build trust with your clients, which is just, you can't put a price on that. It's incredibly valuable. So thank you very much. I'm signing off now. This is Glenn from G&M DJs in Brisbane. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.
Wow, that was great, Glenn. just a lot of information about connecting with clients. I'm really excited. And for those of you who want to come and see both Glenn and myself, we're going to be in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas DJ show in September. Oh wait, no, Miranda won't be in the video. This video, I'm sorry. But you can probably see her at the Las Vegas DJ show in September. It'll be Glenn and Miranda and myself, and Glenn and I won't have much of a crowd, but she will. She's a great person. You should stop in and see us all coming up in September. You can go to the LasVegasDJShow.com. Check it out. Up next, we have got the man we refer to as Mr. Page 6. Ron Ruth is probably one of the earliest friends that I've got in the DJ industry.
Oldest?
He is a man of immense knowledge. He is a man of diverse interests. And he is bringing to you one of the little experiences he's had recently when he's been doing some training. Up next, the power of yes and...
Hi, this is Ron with Ron Ruth Wedding Entertainment in Kansas City and Page 6 contributor of Disc Jockey News. Before I get into my really short presentation, I wanted to take just a few moments to congratulate John Young on bringing this idea to life and for actually finding such an innovative way to bring content to all of you. I really hope that this is an idea that will continue to grow, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be a part of it. For those of you who read Page 6, you may already know that I signed up for improv classes about right after the first of the year, actually. I just completed my 24th week, which also means I completed level 3. Each level is an 8-week training period. I signed up for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to meet people outside of the wedding and DJ industry. I also wanted to challenge myself to do something new, exciting, something that would actually take me outside of my comfort zone. And finally, I wanted to include an activity in my weekly life that would be fun, something that would make me happy, and improv training has certainly done that. What I wasn't anticipating was the parallels between improv and between the business world. Actually, what stands out to me is a reminder of the power of yes and. The basic principle of a successful improv performance centers on the idea that anything, absolutely anything, is possible. An actor's ability to believe in that principle wholeheartedly and to build on it through yes and is the only way that a scene can progress in a manner that also makes believers out of the audience. If I were to say to one of my fellow improv performers, hey, I'm planning a trip to the moon, and they said, that's impossible, well, then that scene is destined to go absolutely nowhere. But if I were to say, hey, I'm planning a trip to the moon, and they said, that's great, I'm a travel agency, and I can offer you a number of money-saving packages to help you out, well, now we have something to work with. And that scene can move forward. The buy-in. The yes and is what establishes the truth. If it's possible for me to fly to the moon, well, then it must also be true that there would be travel agencies to help me get there. And if that's true, then there must be other truths that can be explored throughout the scene. The fun and the laughter that comes along the way is what makes the journey so much fun and enjoyable for the actors and the audience. When John Young first started thinking about this virtual conference, I really have no doubt that it came with a ton of yes ands. Yes, I can do this, and it will be absolutely awesome if I can find individuals who have knowledge and can present that knowledge in the form of content that will act as an incentive to get DJs to watch. Yes, and I can make it so that more people are able to view by offering this content at a variety of days throughout the week and at different times throughout the day as well. As it is for John and for all of us as business professionals, though, our truths are reality and not fantasy. But John is proving that that doesn't make them impossible to achieve. We just have to resolve to explore all of the truths that will get us to where we want to be. And that journey can be the most enjoyable you've ever experienced if you allow yourself the freedom to believe anything is possible and give yourself permission to fail. When I first started writing for Disc Jockey News several years ago, I knew I was taking a giant step outside of my comfort zone. I had never written an article that had ever been read by an audience, especially a large audience. Truth be told, I had never written an article before. Now, over the years, I know that I've written some articles that have not been that great. You might even say they've been massive failures. And you don't know how many times I've thought about walking away. But I also know that somewhere deep inside me is an awesome article that could very well become the inspiration for the book that I've always wanted to write. I may or may not become a well-known author. It really doesn't matter. But I'll never know if I give up now. And I couldn't live with what could have been that comes with quitting. Spending your days, you see, focused on why you can't do something, whether it's to become a better marketer or better performer, better in sales, or even a better writer, will only keep you from reaching your full potential. And the greatest truth is that most business owners are afraid to take chances that take them outside of their comfort zone or try new things because, well, they fear the failure that overshadows the confidence and courage needed to buy into the potential success of their own ideas. Thomas Edison once offered a disturbing truth that many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. It is possible for a promising improv scene or the next big business idea to fail. But yes, and the larger opportunity to succeed is out there if you commit to the journey to find it. This is Ron Ruth with Ron Ruth Wedding Entertainment in Kansas City, and I look forward to seeing you on page 6.
Looking for the next step after the one-on-ones, beginner stuff, this is the place to come.
We really can't wait to implement this stuff, and we know that it's going to take our business to the next level.
Just the content that Mike Walter and that Joe Bunn brought to the workshop, I mean, is just great.
2 days of absolute awesomeness. Recommend these guys to anybody.
Advance all your knowledge about running a DJ company. The experience was very eye-opening.
I gotta say, this is one of the best workshops I've ever been a part of.
Thanks, Ron. That was really cool. Yes, and is really important. Yes, and let me tell you about this this next presenter that we have, who is, I guess, any presenter is probably more qualified to present than anybody I know, and that's Ed Spencer. Why do I say that? Ed has done more training, more workshops, more learning than just about anybody I know. I'm amazed at how much he travels, how much he trains, and how much he works out, and it's really, really impressive. And so you're really going to like what he has to share and want to sharpen up the pencil or whatever you use virtually when we do this. What he's going to talk about next is a way to approach your clients. He's going to talk about being a consultant to your client. So here's that disc jockey news writer as well as someone who's going to be contributing to the virtual training, Ed Spencer.
Hey everybody, this is Ed Spencer with Disc Jockey News. This is the Disc Jockey News Virtual Expo, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about consulting and working with your clients. Now, specifically, this is a little bit of a different viewpoint than most people tend to take. It dealing specifically with taking kind of an overall view of the event and how to kind of put all of it together to create the best event for your clients. But it's really more than creating the best event for your clients. It's about providing the information in a way that makes sense to your clients so that they can make decisions that work best for them. Whatever that decision may be, whether or not that decision is in your best interest or not, doesn't apply. This is about dedicating and creating something for your clients and your clients only, about ensuring that their event is the best possible, even when it's not in your best interest. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but the end result is that other vendors appreciate it, and most importantly, your clients will appreciate it. And we're going to dig into that right now. And this is going to be a little bit different than what most people may think of when it comes to consulting. Most people think of, the consultations and the sales process and prepping for an event. And this is really more about kind of a mindset in terms of prepping for the event and how you interact with your clients. Normally, most DJs tend to either be on this end of the line or on this end of the line. Most DJs tend to fall on one end of the line or the other. This end of the line is what we'll call my way. And by that, what we mean is the DJ basically says or has the mindset that it's my way or the highway. If they want something different than what I normally do, heck with them, I'll just pass. The other opposite of this is the whatever they want group. This is those people who tend to say, hey, whatever they want, I'll give it to them. As long as my client's happy, none of the rest of this matters. I just want my clients to be happy. I'll do whatever they want. Hey, what the heck, I'm getting paid. And that's really what it's about. As long as they pay me, I'll do whatever. But most DJs fall on one end or the other. They'll say that it's my way or the highway, but they'll let them do a little bit of stuff, or they fall in the whatever they want, but they have a line. They won't go beyond a certain point in terms of what they will or won't do for their clients. What I want to do is talk a little bit about something that's kind of out here. This isn't even anywhere even remotely near to being on the line. What this is a completely, totally different mindset in terms of interacting with your clients. Now, consultants tend to get really kind of a bad rap. And by that, I mean, we've all heard the terms of how a consultant came in and told us, oh, that's what I've been telling the company for 15 years, but they had to hear it from a consultant in order for it to make sense. And of course, we're familiar with the term bridal consultant, that, the Association of Bridal Consultants and bridal consulting, being wedding planners. But consulting really goes beyond that. And consulting is really about having a strong, thorough mindset of exactly what needs to happen, and in knowing ways to fall somewhere between this whatever they want and the my way. So this area out here, which is really kind of a completely different kind of a third direction, is consulting. So let's talk about an example of this. A good example of this would be, for example, say a modern timeline. So let's take a modern timeline for a wedding. And every wedding has a little bit of a different mindset in terms of a timeline. There's a couple things that we do know. We know that there will be a ceremony. Whoops. Spelling like people on the internet. And then at some point, there's going to be an end to the reception. And what happens between the start of the ceremony and the end of the reception is really open for interpretation. There's huge regional variations between these 2 points. And as we look at these, you know, sometimes they'll have something where they'll say, okay, we're going to do dinner, but after dinner, we're going to do the first dance. But in some cases, after the ceremony, when they do the grand entrance, immediately after the grand entrance will be the first dance. And they won't do it here. Well, the question is, which one is a better choice? And this is really kind of going beyond even the regional choices. It's about making a decision that's appropriate for the couple, the venue. It's about everything. It's about providing that information for your client to make an informed decision. This isn't about, hey, the venue always does it this way. It's not about anything else. It's about what's the best choice. So let's look at just this one choice of where do we do the first dance and how we can approach consulting with a client. So if we have a venue, and within this venue we have a few things that are going to happen. We're going to have our grand entrance. That happens on this timeline. And the question is, because after the grand entrance we're going to have a dinner, do we do the first dance before or after? The idea behind consulting is that you take a overall view of everything that's happening. So coming off of the grand entrance, they come in, you announce, and they can do the first dance. But this is where things start to, you have to look at everything else. And that's what the cat says, is you need to look at everything. So, for example, do they have a cake in the middle of the dance floor? Because if they do, obviously you can't come in and immediately roll right into a first dance. You have to wait until the cake cutting happens before you can do a first dance. And it's about knowing that in terms of the setup of the venue, even if it's less than perfect, to be able to make that determination. And it's about talking with your client and letting them know when something's out of the norm. So for example, there's a lot of venues that I work where they normally would do a grand entrance and then immediately jump right into this first dance. And instead of jumping right into the first dance, I tell them, hey, we're going to put off the first dance until after dinner. And here's the reasons why. When you talk with your client from a consulting viewpoint, it shows that you have an understanding of not just this really small area of responsibility, but the overall view of the entire night. So, most people draw what's called an area of responsibility for the DJ that would include, and you get this all the time in phone calls, music, and make some announcements. And then this area of responsibility over here, which is the caterer, is food and beverages. And then over here, maybe you have the venue is responsible for setup and tables and chairs. And each of these area responsibilities are individual. But when you approach this from a consulting viewpoint, you view everything overall. You look at the requirements of the food and beverage. If they're running late in your timeline, the couple's running late and this grand entrance has been pushed down your timeline, then it's about knowing that, hey, dinner has to be served at a specific time for the food to be of the best quality. So if this is a hard line in the sand in terms of delivery of food. It means that you make adjustments to ensure that this happens so that the caterer is able to give their best product. And normally this is the responsibility of the wedding planner. Unfortunately, my experience has been that most wedding planners tend to focus more on the wedding decor. They tend to take more of a role of a wedding decorator, perhaps recommending some client or some different vendors and things, but they don't come hands-on prepared to help make these decisions or make recommendations. And that's kind of where that consulting mentality comes. The problem is that you need to be able to understand what every area of responsibility is going to need in terms of those hard, specific deadlines. And then it's about taking each of these areas of responsibility that everybody has, blending them together so that you can adapt the timeline. So coming back to the example of the first dance, where they have that cake in the middle of the floor, it's about talking with the venue in advance and saying, hey, do we have someplace else we can put the cake so we can do this first dance when they first come in? But when you talk to them, you need to be able to convey the idea that there's a reasoning behind this and what those reasons are. It's not about, hey, the client wants to do the first dance first, coming right in off the grand entrance, and if you don't do what I tell you, then I'm going to get them involved and get them all upset. Don't. It's about thinking about what's best for everybody. So let's dig into this a little bit in terms of a few concepts. And it's an old concept, and I'll touch on this real quickly, and I'll kind of use it to wrap up. So the easiest way to approach from a consulting mindset is to take a particular challenge or something that you're looking at and to make a decision or determination. So the first thing you do is you would do a simple, what I call pro-con list. So if you want to do the first dance right after the grand entrance, you would make a list of all of the pros. So on a pro would be, everybody is paying attention. Another pro may be, the videographer has to leave. They're only there for 30 minutes, which means you need to make sure that certain formalities happen before they leave. Maybe the photographer's leaving early. Any number of things can happen. But then you also have cons that you need to look at. So, the question then becomes something along the lines of, hey, if this happens first thing, what happens if we front load, if we move all of those formalities early in the night, get them out of the way so we have this huge long block of time for dancing? What's the con to that? Well, the con is that with all of the ceremonial aspects done, the father-daughter, the bouquet, the garter, the cake cutting, people will leave. Your older people will pack their stuff up and leave because they're like, what else is going to happen besides cake cutting? The, other cons may be, they may miss something that happens late in the night. They, maybe they don't want to stay for the bouquet and garter. Maybe, any number of things. But this allows you to draw a pro-con to approach the logistics of the overall night in terms of timeline and putting all of this together. But the most important aspect of approaching from this consultancy mindset is that you need to have a very broad view of what's going on in the course of the night, what the requirements are from everyone, what they need, what has to have or happen in a certain way, what things have to be in certain places, and then taking that information and then making smart decisions. And those smart decisions aren't just based on what works best for you, but based upon what works best for your client. So that you can make a recommendation, and then that recommendation has specific points on why that's the right decision to make. And that's really the goal, is to be able to provide the best advice to your clients, not making the decision for them, but in being able to provide them the information they need to make the decision that works best for them. And unfortunately, there are some people who like to color the information to achieve their own goals, but it really comes down to that one thing, and that is, it's all about providing good information to your clients to allow them to make smart decisions that apply to the entire wedding team and allow everyone to produce and provide their best effort and their best work to create a successful event. Anyway, I know I've rambled a little bit. Hopefully you enjoy this. It's a little bit of a different mindset. I highly recommend the book, $1 Million Consulting by Alan Weiss. Has some great information in terms of building a consulting business, but it goes beyond that and talks about both in terms of the challenges in financial decisions, how to go about pricing yourself, and a wide variety of other things. But one of the things that I found is that having a strong background in consulting in the IT field and working in business and consulting with them, I've been able to take those skills and apply them directly to the wedding business and to be able to help people achieve better events as a result. As a matter of fact, one of the first reviews I ever got was from a client, and they actually said that Ed was more of a consultant than he was a DJ. And it's, you know, it's something that pays off, but it does take a bit of a mindset to completely think in a different way than the typical DJ, because you have to come at it from a completely different viewpoint than from, you know, a simple narrow perspective of, I'm going to do music and some announcements and, you know, that's all. It's really a much broader perspective. Anyway, hopefully this is beneficial for somebody. And one other thing is, if you're wanting to get more into kind of some of this building of the timeline, David Lewis does a great timeline workshop that he's put together. And of course, Bill Hermann and Jason Jones of the Entertainment Experience go into logistics and planning and just a whole lot of other things that are really just a phenomenal insight into working towards this kind of direction and this kind of approach. Hope everybody has a great time. Hope you enjoyed the brief seminar and my ramblings and my chicken scratching here. And enjoy the rest of the virtual expo. Thanks.
He's right, man. You need to be a consultant for your client. Don't just be an employee. Thank you, Ed Spencer. And thank you again for being a part of our virtual expo. I'm Bill Hermann with the Entertainment Experience. And we want to be sure that you also check out DJN TV. Tuesday nights with, I got to talk about Ben again? You put me in charge of talking about Ben Stowe. Okay, I like Ben Stowe. He's a nice guy, I swear. He's a smart guy. He's just way smarter than I am, which doesn't really say a whole lot for Ben Stowe. I know, but he's like crazy smart. And if you want to know about your gear, you want to know about lighting, you want to know about the tools you use every day to be an awesome disc jockey, Ben Stowe is the guy you gotta know. And that's always Tuesday nights on DJN TV. That I can tell you about Ben Stowe. I can't understand him. I can't. Our next guy, Jake Palmer. He's from my neck of the woods here in the Twin Cities, near the Twin Cities, and he's going to talk about being awesome, because everything is awesome.
Hi, this is Jake Palmer from Party Sound. Today I want to talk to you about awesomeness. Yeah, being awesome, how to be more awesome. You know, awesome. Doesn't everybody want to be awesome? Like, awesome would be me using CGI graphics to put in more hair in this hairline and maybe give myself some muscles. That would be awesome. But I want to talk about a different kind of awesome. I want to talk about what it takes to be an awesome DJ, an awesome entertainer, that guy that everybody remembers. Before we can talk about what is awesome, we have to talk about what is awesome and how to become better at being awesome. So first of all, I think awesome it really starts as an idea, as a concept. It's an attitude, it's a state of mind, it's a bravado, dare I say. So that's part of what being awesome is some of the times it's just a matter of having that right confidence and that swagger to tackle and to have the right attitude. What's the difference though between being a good DJ and being an awesome DJ or an awesome entertainer? For example, if you go to a wedding this Saturday, tear the place up, everybody dances, they have a great time, and they go, yeah, that was good. They're right, that was good. It might have even been great, but was it awesome? The difference between good or great and awesome is when a bride comes up to you in a park and says, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you did our wedding 6 years ago, and it was great. It was awesome. Our friends still talk about it. Or when somebody comes up to you and says, you did my friend's wedding, and we had so much fun, it was amazing. That's the difference. That's what awesome is. Awesome is leaving a lasting impression. It's making a mark, having an impact on their special day, on their life, on that moment in time that you happen to be lucky enough to be a part of. So what I want to do with these video series is talk about the keys and the points that I've discovered help to become awesome, that allow you to stay in this business active and productive as long as I have, and when you get to be my age. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but unlike a lot of seminars, how-to books and things like that, every one of these videos I want to make sure that you take something away that you can use today, tonight, when you go to a show, when you go to a meeting, when you plan with a bride and groom or sit down with them. I want to make sure you have that information that you can take with you and actually utilize. So, where do we begin? We start at the beginning. For me, those of you who know who I am, know that I've been writing for Disc Jockey News for quite some time. One of the things that I first wrote about when I started writing for Disc Jockey News was a series of articles on what it was like to be the DJ, or to be the groom rather, and also a wedding DJ for, at that time, around about 20 years. And how I could look at it with a different set of eyes, because most brides and grooms don't have that insight that we have, even though they think they might. So it was really nice to be able to be more active in that process of sitting down with those vendors, listening to what they had to say, seeing how they sell themselves, how they talk to me, how they talk to my bride, my parents, so on and so forth, and watch that process develop. And the one thing I really took away from that series of meetings and that series of articles I wrote is that most wedding vendors are really, really dumb. It's probably not politically correct to say that, but it amazed me at how belittled I always felt when I was talked to. They would talk down to me. They would talk at me. They would talk like they're the expert. My attitude and my ideas and opinions are they're cute and all, but they're not realistic or doable. And they talk to me in a way that I couldn't possibly understand if I was a normal person. For example, how many DJs especially say this to a bridegroom? Well, would you like the platinum sound and the Hollywood lighting? Well, Hollywood lighting sounds neat and platinum sound sounds expensive, but what is it? Even when you say to them, well, that means we bring two 18-inch powered subwoofers and we do. Brides and grooms don't know what that stuff means. My point is that after I really went through all that, I changed the way I looked at weddings completely. I changed the way I market myself. I changed the way I talk to brides and grooms. I changed the way I talk to moms and dads of brides and grooms. I changed the way I do my weddings, the way I price my weddings, the way I market and advertise myself, the way I talk to other vendors and hotel staff and things like that. And I completely changed it around and made it a lot easier to work with. And the results of that have been probably, virtually unmeasurable, because it has literally completely turned my business around, because now I'm not like every other cocky, egotistical DJ that venues work with. They know me, they like me, I'm personable. It really definitely helps. So that's kind of a little bit of the history, so to speak, of where I really decided, like, this is where I'm going to make a change in what I do and how I do it. This is where I'm going to start to really focus on less on number of bookings, less on how many shows can I get. I'm going to book everything I can. I'm going to be so busy. Everybody's going to know who I am. And I really started to focus on What can I do to become more awesome? How can I be awesome? How can I be the guy people go, whoa, that was crazy, that was great. And everybody has their own niche when it comes to awesomeness. So you kind of have to work on that and find your own thing. So, how to be awesome. First and foremost, awesomeness doesn't start with the first dance. You have to grab them right away. That's the most important part. And when I say grab them right away, I mean at the first time you crack the microphone, at that first meeting, at that first contact, you have to win them over immediately. They have to like you. You have to turn on that awesome faucet right away so that everybody gets involved and becomes part of that awesome journey that you want to take them on. And it really, whether you're in sales, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in, going out and doing the shows, it doesn't matter. It's all about being that person. So if you have to get them right away, you have to be more than a great DJ. You have to be way more than a DJ. The first thing you have to realize is that the DJ part of what we do is probably the smallest part. It's that little part at the end, that 4-hour window from 8:30 to 12:30, from 8 to midnight, from 7 to 11. But what about all the stuff leading up to that? What about the meetings, the planning, the sitting down and talking with the bride and the groom, and what do they like and what do they want? Those types of things. That's really important. So you have to be more than that DJ. You have to be a planner. You have to be a host. You have to be an MC first and foremost. That's probably the easiest way you can become awesome tomorrow. If you're not awesome now, if you show up at 6:30, set up and play music from 8 to midnight, the best thing you can do to become awesome is extend yourself so that you're there before the guests arrive and you go home when the guests leave. Charge a little bit more and be the MC. Be the guy who guides them on their journey. Think of it this way when it comes to being a good MC and going from MC to awesome, is that you could go to a show and you could literally walk in the door, introduce the bride and groom, play all the right songs at all the right times, and people could dance and have a great time, and they would absolutely love it. And they'd say, that was really good. It was great. We had a blast. But if you win them over early by communicating with them, by being an MC, by being a host, by being friendly and personable and funny and an entertainer, and then play the exact same songs in the exact same order and get the same outcome, they're going to think you're awesome, because now it wasn't just them entertaining themselves with dancing and music. It's you took them on that journey. You guided them through that process. And it also allows you to be in more control, which means now it's easier to play the music that you know will work in the order and the way you want to play it, as opposed to tolerating the requests and the obnoxious people that we sometimes see and have to deal with at weddings. So grab them right away. Talk on the microphone. Make a little intro. What I like to do personally is, one of the things that we as human beings always focus on is comfort. We want to be comfortable. If we're not comfortable, we leave. So the first job you have to do during that cocktail reception as the host and MC is to help make those guests comfortable. One of the easiest things you can do is make a couple announcements. Don't talk a lot. They're not there to listen to you. They're there to visit and have a cocktail and an appetizer and some snacks and that type of thing. But if you make a simple announcement like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's great to have you here. We're so happy that you could be with us today. The bride and groom are finishing up some pictures, and it turns out that the inside of a bar looks completely different when you're married than it does when you're single, and our bride and groom had to just verify that. And then they're going to be here in about 20 minutes, and when they get here, we're going to welcome them in with a big rousing applause, and you guys can jump up and down and hoot and holler and have some fun. And then we're going to get to dinner at about 6:30, so help yourself to a cocktail, a beverage, visit, and lay out the groundwork. And now all of the guests feel informed, like, hey, I know what's going on. I don't feel lost. It doesn't feel awkward. It sounds super simple. It is. And that's just one little step. That's one little thing. And it's just a matter of injecting yourself into the process and being a part of that process. Also, knowing what that timeline of that process is. The more you talk with the bride and groom and that planning and those details, now you know, hey, they're going to do this and they're going to do that before they get here, so you know what time to expect them, and you have a plan and a timeline and a focus and a functionality to it. And that's really what it's all about. It's going to come down to details, especially when it comes to wedding planning. Details, details, details. Double and triple check all of the details. A great example is cutting the cake. If you introduce that the bride and groom are going to cut the cake and there's no knife up there, or no plates and no napkins, it looks weird, and then I have to dig around and try to find them. If you take 30 seconds, walk over to the cake table, verify that that stuff they need is there, and then cut the cake, now it goes smooth. Nobody ever noticed. Now, if you introduce it and the cake knives aren't there, no one in the room is going to say, I can't believe that DJ didn't make sure the cake knife was there. No, they'll never say that. They'll never blame it on you. But if the bride and groom know that you're doing these details, things go so much smoother. And that's, again, another step towards awesome. If we double check all of our details right, no one will ever know that we did it, because it just verifies that everything runs smoother. Another great tip to get you started is work with the other vendors. First thing I do when I find the photographer at any event is shake his or her hand, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jake. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to be the DJ, the MC, and the entertainer. How long are you going to be with us this evening? What sort of pictures does the bride expect you to capture tonight? Because that may affect the timeline a little bit on how I want to do certain events and when I want to do them. So make sure that they know that you're trying to help them get the best pictures possible. Talk to the catering staff, the event staff at the hotel, wherever you are. Verify, hey, dinner's still at 6, right? If at all possible, I highly, highly recommend you will make arrangements to go to that final wrap-up meeting with the hotel or the event manager that they'll have with the bride and groom about 6 to 12 days before the event. Go along with that. Go to that meeting, sit there, listen to all the information that they're going to share so you can help verify. Don't get in the way. Let them do their job, but don't be afraid to be a part of the process, even if it requires you injecting yourself into the process. And a lot of times, if you explain to the bride and groom why you think it's important for you to be at some of these meetings and be a part of this process, they'll insist that you be there with them because they want you, they trust you, and they believe in you. And that's all just one more step. Is if they start to make insistence like, I really want Jake to be at this meeting, the hotel staff is going to say, well, okay. And then that's just going to mean how much, that's going to show to you how important you've become to them. Does that make sense? I hope so. It should be fairly simple. Being awesome can be as complicated or as simple as you make it out to be. That's the important thing. All I can stress is we have a lot of stuff to cover when it comes to being awesome, and we'll cover a lot more of it over the following videos as they continue to come. But in a nutshell, a couple things to remember as you take out the door. Awesome doesn't start at the first dance. Grab them right away. Be awesome when you see that bride and groom at that first meeting, when you meet their parents. Be awesome when you arrive at the location. Be awesome when you talk to the vendors. Be awesome when you crack the microphone. Be awesome when you're standing in the hallway and talking with guests. Look awesome, feel awesome, be awesome, and you'll be awesome. I'm Jake Palmer from Party Sound. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Jake. I just feel like going out and just screaming, awesome, to the world right now, man. We have got one more show, one more session, one more part for you tonight. We have got Arnaldo Offerman. Arnaldo, of course, a lot of you have heard of the guy from Master School Dances. Well, this is the guy. He does a lot of high school dances, a lot of teen events, and if you've got questions, he is a resource for your teen event questions. But right now, Arnaldo's going to be doing a session for us here tonight, the 5 Do's of School Dance Marketing.
Hey everyone, Arnaldo Offerman here with Master School Dances. Really happy to be speaking at the Disc Jockey News Virtual Expo. Pretty cool concept. Now, for those of you not familiar with me or Master School Dances is not the name of my school dance company. It's the name of my educational materials for DJs that shows you how to be your school dance leader in your area. Now, to give you an idea of who I am and what I do, I am president of a company called 4 Schools Only. It's literally been built from the ground up from an established company. So 4 Schools Only is a division of a company called A Premier Entertainment. But we're in a market that's flooded with DJs that do school dances for way under $1,000 and bring in quite a bit of equipment, but not quite what we do. We bring school dances anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000, in between, a little bit more, give or take. And we do some really big, awesome stuff. And essentially, I teach DJs how you guys can also rock like the best. Not rock with the best. Don't take that, because that's our phrase, and stealing is bad. So let's continue on. I want to talk to you guys about the 5 must-dos for school dances. Now, some of this may be real obvious, duh, I've done this already, or you may have never done this before, so it may be a mind-blowing experience for you. I mean, either way, hopefully you'll get something out of it, and if not, yell at John Young, I guess. So, 5 must-dos for school dance marketing. Number 1 is marketing materials. You must not just have marketing materials, because that's a duh, but you must constantly update it. And with school dances, you need to do that as often as you can. Now, I will tell you that I'm very guilty of not always doing that. My current video, which the format or the timeline of it was created back in like 2009, and the only thing, I've changed some of the voiceover stuff, I've, changed bits and pieces, but the clips have always changed. It's such a good, powerful video that I don't need to change the actual format of it. I just update the clips. I haven't updated the clips for a couple of years now, so I need to do that. Part of the reason is, honestly, we've been slammed. slammed to the point that I can't really focus on anything else. And, that's a good thing. And hopefully you guys, if you're not already there, we'll get to that point. But take it from me, because now I'm paying for it during the summer when I should be having vacation. Never let your marketing materials get stale. Always have something up and running. And we're talking photos, videos, as far as your testimonials and all that. Look, nobody reads that. I hate telling you this, but nobody does, at least when it comes to dances. And here's why. One, sponsors speak to each other. So if you're going to really rely on reviews, make sure that it's word-of-mouth reviews, especially at the NASC, National Association of Student Council Conventions, or whatever your state ASC is. So like Florida, we have FASC, Florida Association of Student Councils. So if you're in Tennessee, it'd be the TASC, and so forth. You get the point. So make sure that, if you have good rapport with those sponsors, and if you don't have good rapport, build that good rapport where you can ask them, hey, look, I heard that the blank ASC is going to be happening, this and this location. Are you going? Oh, you are. Awesome. Would you mind kind of getting together with some of the sponsors and handing out my cards and go over there and drop off some cards? But, really encourage them, ask them to. The worst thing they can say is no. But if they like your service, they're going to say yes, so that shouldn't be an issue. As far as keeping your materials, fresh, again, I can cover the whole photo and video thing much later on, but there's multiple ways of doing that. And I don't mean just keeping stuff aside so you can update your main videos. But if you don't have an Instagram and Twitter account, you need to make sure you have that. And again, I know everybody says that. It makes a lot of common sense. But once you market the dance, the individual dance appropriately, you should be able to have enough students hashtagging the dance that it becomes a trending topic. Now, this isn't something you can do solo. You really need to tell your school, look, you got to work with me with this. Your student department has to work with me on this. We got to make this hashtag popular. Now, you want to make it popular so the students and everybody else is going to talk about the dance, but ultimately, you want to gain those followers. You want people following you. You want to basically saying, oh my God, you rocked the dance. That was great. And then if, you're talking to another school and you ask them, so how was your dance? And they say, oh yeah, our other DJ was great. They loved them. You can go on Twitter and search. And there's a few ways that you can search on that. And again, I can cover all that later on because I'm not a limited time. But that's why you follow my YouTube channel. Anyways, enough with the shameless self-promotion. So follow it on, Instagram or Twitter. And you can say, well, I'm seeing, when you meet with them, you tell them, it's like, well, this is what some of the students have said about your dance. Find, obviously, all the negative stuff and say, now, how can we make it into something positive? And then as a reference point, you bring up the Twitter, your Twitter followers, or you bring all the stuff that you use with your hashtags and say, look, this is what we've done. This is what the students think about our dances. Now, you're not just bringing testimonials from the administration. You're bringing it from other students. And here's why I say the testimonials from administration don't usually work. Because the things that they are really concerned about, the students may not give two flying hoots craps about. Administration may say, he played all edited music, and the students don't really care. Now, some of them do, some of them don't. They kept the dance floor packed. I'm sorry, there could not be a less original testimonial than that. And it's not their fault. They don't think any better, but if we didn't keep the dance floor packed, we wouldn't be DJs. You would have been out of business by now unless you're a really good snake oil salesman. So obviously we keep the floor packed. That's what we're supposed to do. It's kind of like the chef used heat with the food. Really, you don't say. So again, Instagram, Twitter, if you don't like hashtags, learn to like them. They can be incredibly powerful. If you have photo booth, instead of doing custom header and footer, big props to my friend Storm about this because he kind of drilled it into my head. Stop doing a custom header and footer. Just do a custom header. And on the footer, you can download the photos of this and this. Now, I started doing that with hashtags versus the website, and that's worked out really well because I don't really care about students going on the website. I want them using the hashtags. I want it to become a trending topic. I have a school, Lake Nona High School, their prom last year, there were so many people hashtagging and talking about it that it became an actual trending topic on Twitter, which was pretty cool when you saw random people that aren't even in the state saying, what's Lake Nona prom about and why am I seeing it on Twitter? So that was pretty neat. So that's do number one. Again, your marketing materials, well, must do number one. Number two, always keep your marketing materials fresh. Use your Instagram and Twitter. Now, of course, again, you definitely want, if you don't have a DSLR, get one. And yeah, some of you could say, well, I'm gonna network with a professional photographer. You need to be doing this at every single event. And it sounds overkill, but I promise you in the long run, it's not. So get a good DSLR, but everything that you do on Instagram, start hashtagging it. Even simple things like, hey, look, this if you spin vinyl, these are the color matching vinyls that I'm going to use, or hey, what, like silly fun things. What color tie should I use? Just do something to encourage Twitter and Instagram followers. And you may only get 2 or 3 people to actually reply or like it, but the people that actually see it or retweet it or favorite it, that's a whole different thing. So after the dance, when you post the photos and you want to do it as soon as possible, you say, hey, I got some photos and videos, vines, upload it, start, tagging those that followed it, send a message directly or reply to their tweets about how great the dance was. Somebody say, so-and-so dance was amazing, the DJ was great. Hey, thanks so much. Make sure you download the photos here and then put please RT. Basically, it means retweet, so they reshare that status and again, have it become viral. So now your company is creating, even if it's not a nationwide viral, it's a local viral market, and that's essentially what you want to reach. The third three thrice must do of school dance marketing is patience when calling. Now, I've talked about this quite a bit in my video series. You're going to deal with 2 different people for the most part. You're going to deal with who I call Joy, and she is the wonderful, happy secretary. She wakes up every morning, drinks a fresh cup of coffee with a little bit of caramel and a bunch of extra sugar, and she is excited about helping everybody, about helping students become the leaders of tomorrow and use the vendor, getting you connected with the right people. I love Joy because she not only tells me the date, she tells me the name of the sponsor, she tells me when their planning period is, their email, their blood types, their likes and dislikes, what turns them on and off. She tells you everything you need to know. And you get Joy maybe once every 10 times you call. The other 9 times you're going to get the juvenile delinquent that is working at the front office because he's either in trouble or he thinks it's an easy grade and he doesn't even know his name. Some of them don't even know the school they go to, or I don't know, they may be high. Point being is you're going to hate calling schools back and forth. And sometimes you get a combination of both. You get a student that's really, really excited to do their job, and then you get the person in administration or whatever doesn't really want to be picking up the phones. Or sometimes you don't even get a phone call at all. But unfortunately, it's cold calling, and you need to call and call and call. Now, what do you do when you call? You don't ask for, hey, can I speak with them? Because you're going to interrupt them in the middle of class. If you want to piss somebody off, interrupt a teacher in the middle of school and say, hi, I'm a telemarketer, because essentially what you're doing. Instead, I ask for the emails, I write down the emails, then I send an email. Later on, I call and ask if I can be transferred directly to voicemail. So they see my email, they get my voicemail, and then on my third day, or third time that I call altogether, I call right after school so I can get a hold of them after school when it's much easier. But again, have patience. You will grow several gray hairs doing this. You may, break out voodoo dolls. It's not a lot of fun, but patience, young Padawan. The fourth must-do for effective school dance marketing. You want to be prepared for every bad scenario and have an answer ready. Now, this is whether it's over the phone, which really you shouldn't be doing sales over the phone. The whole point of being over the phone is to get a meeting, or we call an audition. Again, you don't call it a consultation because a proctologist offers a consultation. A divorce lawyer offers consultation. Do you really want to offer the same kind of meeting that your butt doctor or the doctor that's going to take everything out of your butt is going to offer? No, you don't want to offer that kind of meeting. You want to offer an audition. Why? Because we're DJs, we're rock stars. We didn't get in on this because we wanted to make somebody else's day special, and you can say that now, but in reality, a lot of us got into this because we wanted to get chicks, or we wanted to be the cool ones, or you wanted free beer, whatever it was going to be. We wanted to be rock stars. But because we weren't qualified to play alongside Steven Tyler, because we can't rock that microphone stand like that, we became DJs. Nothing wrong with it. Embrace it, love it, give it a hug. Call it audition, because that is what DJs do. They don't offer consultations. We offer auditions. We're here to rock your school dance. Let me show you how. Now that we're off that tangent, what you want to do is, again, once you get that meeting in there, you want to be prepared for everything negative they're going to tell you and have something right away. Don't BS it, meaning don't tell people lies, but always spin anything they can tell you into a positive for you. And one of the rules about sales, which you have to break whenever you're doing school sales, is you never want to be a no person. You always want to be a yes man. That's crap. It's called pattern interrupt. Everybody else is telling them yes. I'm going to tell them no. Honestly, I'm going to tell them the truth. I had a school that wanted to do a setup because of other DJ pitched it, where you're in the center of the floor. Now, that's a pretty cool looking idea, and I told him, hey, you know what, that is a great idea. Here's the problem with that. You're going to pay about 3 times as much for sound, because now we got sound going this way, going behind me, going off to the sides. We need to make sure there's no cancellation, no comb filtering. This is a whole different type of processing we're going to be doing. Also, somebody's going to be staring at my butt the entire time, and you either need to have security there, or you pay for our security, because what's keeping somebody from jumping behind me and trying to dance or whatever? I don't care if students jump up on the stage, but I can't have them behind me. That's a problem. You know, and I told him all the different options, and I told him why, you know, it looks cool, but I also told him why having the DJ in the center of the floor is a terrible idea, especially when it comes to cost. You know, things like that. I was ready prepared with that, because even though I wasn't expecting it to say, hey, the DJ pitched this in the middle of the floor, I always think, okay, what are different setups? And I look at different setups that our competition has done or other DJs have done. I'm like, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea. Why? Because I want to prepare myself for that sale. Now, same thing with the video screens. Video screens are great, and again, I cover all that and other YouTube videos and everything else about how you can make money with video screens. But the short of it is, the video screens allow you to carry your theme. I don't care how much decorations the schools have done. When you have a big giant video screen dead center of the room or on the corners or however you lay it out, they're not going to compete with that. So I love doing video screens. But a lot of my competition or DJs around the area do video screens wrong. They either play inappropriate music videos, or it's boring, or it's the wrong size screen. So I'm always ready for the, we don't want video screen because of this and this. So right away when they, you know, like for example, live video, well, we don't want live video because the other DJ said that they're going to grind and do dirty stuff. And I wasn't expecting them to say that, because I didn't know other DJs at that point, this was a couple years back, were doing live video. And I'm like, no, you know what, they're absolutely right. And what we want to do is we want to put them on the video screen when they're doing the dirty dancing. And the teacher's like, wait, what? I'm like, because they scatter like roaches. Instead of me getting on the microphone or you getting on the microphone telling them, hey, don't throw water bottles in the air, you just put them on the screen and they're like, well, scatter out. And if they're stubborn and there's other students that want to dirty dance on the screen, you can have some fun and flash like a recording sign, or, hey, you know, smile for the camera, and that kind of gets the hint that they're being recorded, and, you know, you get the point. So things like that, I'm able to sell it out. I can also sell the video screens in ways that other people don't sell it, you know. This is how we can incorporate your theme with it. Here's some ideas we can do with mapping for your video screens, meaning we put different objects, different layers to create a really unique dance experience. If you're doing a winter dance, instead of just having live video, we can have live video with snowflakes falling down on the screen. Just different unique things that you can do. Also be proactive and answer their fears before they bring them up. When you talk about music, it's like, look, before we cover all music and everything else, because all DJs play music and all DJs are going to tell you they're good, but unless they have videos of them, they really can't prove that to you, or, you know, even a mixtape or something like that. What I can promise you, aside from showing you the videos, is that we're going to get rid of this whole students versus teachers fighting each other about music. Why? Because, and I look at administration, it's not your job to sit there and read the lyrics of every song, because if you did, you would ban every single song after 1955. You know, and even then, that was a little bit risque, because Elvis and his whippersnappers hips, music of the devil, rabble, rabble, rabble. So if you read the lyrics, you're just not going to prove anything. And we already know this is going to make your job tough. Likewise, the students, when they're requesting music, they're not thinking, is this song about me putting it in places where I shouldn't appropriate? I'm not quite sure. I don't care. I'm going to ask the DJ. That's pretty much the thought process. They don't care. They skip all that. They're going to ask for the song. And some of the song requests that you may have seen if you do school dances are downright raunchy. So what I tell schools, like, look, it's my job to classify what's appropriate and what's not. And if it's not appropriate, doesn't mean it doesn't get played. Again, that kind of gets the teacher's attention. It means that we edit it. Now, when we edit it, we don't just play a song or a bad word or phrase backwards, because a 4-letter word is still a 4-letter word, whether it's forwards or backwards. So we either use an alternative phrase, and I use the song Shots as an example. Since Lil Jon released the basketball version of Shots, you know, I kind of give them a quick teaser of both versions. I don't play, you know, the alcohol part, but they already know the song, what it's about. I play the basketball version, like, that's what we do. And I tell this, I tell the students and the teacher outright, here's the thing. If you don't trust that your DJ is going to be able to play the appropriate mix of music, don't hire him. You need to trust your DJ 100% with the music, because that's the core job. Above the music, or above the lights, above the emceeing, above video screens, above everything else, our job is to play music. And if they can't do that, then they don't deserve to be your DJ. So again, answer those fears that they may have, because they may have never brought up about grinding. They may have never brought up about, you know, the music content. But because I brought it up, it automatically establishes that I'm in control of this, that I've got this, that I've planned. For the administrations that tell me, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've had a few that tell me that, you know, and I tell them, look, 20 years is a heck of a long time. Just, I mean, it's longer than I've been doing this. But 20 years is 20 homecomings, and I do 20 homecomings in 1 year. So let's kind of narrow it down. I've been doing this, since 2005, which doesn't sound like a long time, but 2005, let's say we do, an average of only 10 homecomings a year. They get the math, especially if they're a math teacher. But I digress. Answer their fears. Be proactive before they bring them up. It shows that you're in control. That's honestly the most important do of school dance marketing, because that's what a lot of people fail to do. Continuing on the list, follow up faster than expected. And I think this is where a lot of the guys lose their business, because I've gotten calls from schools that said, we've met the DJ, we've asked for a contract, he hasn't sent us a contract. And if he's that slow to want to get our money, how much slower is he going to be when he doesn't, once he has our money? And if they don't say that, I put that fear in their heads, because it's the honest truth, and I feel that way. I've had some schools, I'm like, so have you met with the DJ? Yeah, we've already asked him for a contract. He hasn't sent it back yet. I'm like, if you don't mind me asking, how long has it been? And I've had some that have told me, 2.5 months, and I tell them, look, he's trying to get your money. He's taking this long. Make sure you know how long or how fast he's going to follow up with once he has your money. And again, it's not me, being a snake oil salesman. It's just the honest way that I feel. And if somebody is leaving this huge empty gap in the way they sell sales, I'm going to rip it apart and say, look, this is why we're going to be better. So again, follow up faster than expected. Now, I usually tell my teachers, sponsors. Sponsors are basically advisors here in Florida. We call them sponsors. But I usually tell them, like, look, I'm going to send you a contract or a proposal or whatever within a day or so, if that's okay. And they're like, perfect. I send it the moment I get home. Sometimes I'll even pull over, go to Starbucks or something, get it drafted and send it out, because I want them to look at the proposal and everything we have to offer on paper after they've had all those good, jolly feelings while the students are excited. And a lot of times I'll send them with a copy of the contract, because if they have the contract sitting in front of them, there's a very good chance they'll just go ahead and approve it right then and there. So again, follow up faster than expected. And obviously it goes without saying, always under promise, over deliver, and not only just in terms of performance, but even on equipment. I know, giving away free things, such a taboo thing, but it's true. If you tell them, a few times I've emailed my schools and I told them, like, look, I did a venue walkthrough, and I don't think you got enough uplighting with the setup that you wanted. And honestly, rather than saying, hey, you should upgrade, because I should have known better, and a lot of times I'll throw myself under the bus on that on purpose. I should have known better. I just want to go ahead and hook you up, because again, you want to build that rapport. But whenever you build a rapport, don't BS people. Just be honest about it, because these teachers are a lot smarter than you think, and they know all these sales techniques. Now that I've presented the 5 do's of school dances, let's go ahead and cover real quick the 5 don'ts. And I'm going to have to speak a little bit faster, because I know I've taken up a lot of time because I've been speaking so slowly. So I apologize for that. I promise to speak a little faster from here on out. So the 5 don'ts, let's make this quick. Here we go. 1, don't listen to those that are not on your level. I know, that sounds like such a egomaniacal or egocentric, megalomaniac, whatever you want to call it, things to say. But here's what I mean by that. If you have a DJ that's making $500 a school dance, and you're already making $1,500 a school dance, and you're trying to get to $2,000 a school dance, and the $500 DJ is telling you how to sell, why would you listen to that? Seriously, I don't quite get that. I was like, well, you're doing this and this wrong. Well, dude, you're making $500 school dances, and I know that sounds bad, but if we all did that, we would all be stuck at the $500 school dance level. Here's another thing where you shouldn't listen to people that are not on your level when it comes to this sort of thing is, well, you can't do this and this. If I had $1 for every DJ within an hour from me that says that you can't sell school dances for this amount of money, I'd be broke by now. For every DJ that I've had telling me, oh, I can only sell this school for $500, I'll come in and sell that school for $5,000, no joke. And then they get mad at me, like, well, you took my school. I'm like, dude, not only did I take your school, but I took it for $5,000. You told me I couldn't get more. That was a challenge. I know that sounds terrible, but it's the honest truth. I'm not lying to him about the DJ. I just came in, presented, and everything else. So here's the thing. When you're doing this, you're going to get a lot of people giving you a lot of doubt. You're going to get a lot of people telling you that if you follow these out-of-the-box techniques, or you do things that are not out of the ordinary, that are out of the ordinary, they're going to tell you, no, don't do it like that, or no, you can't do this. Screw them. They're not on your level, okay? And honestly, I think T.I. said it best. They can keep on hating, but they're just wasting their time. So don't listen to those that are not on your level. Listen to those on that level that you want to be at. Also, do not sell like you sell at weddings. That's number 2. Don't sell like you sell at weddings. Everything you've heard about weddings, just don't do it, okay? Things like, remember, don't talk about equipment. Oh, you absolutely talk about the equipment. Schools are great because you get to talk about your lasers and your speakers and your lights. And you know what? These students want to hear it. You have no idea how many high schoolers now know what DMX, trussing, ILDA, quick show know they know what they are because of us, because we tell them, hey, check it out. With our sales packet, we actually include a little glossary of terms, and it's really cool because I've actually had teachers tell me, like, when other DJs are pitching us, they don't explain these things to us, and we've actually used a little glossary, and we're like, okay, well, this is good. We don't want this, we want this. But I'm the one that taught them that, so guess who comes out looking like the consultant or the expert? I am. Yay! So again, make sure, don't sell like you sell at weddings. Have fun with it. Really think outside of the box. You're dealing with a whole different type of personality, and you can't ask for anything better than that. At the same time, though, do not stay in the box with your business. Just like on sales, if you want to try something new, something unheard of, go for it. At some point, somebody put an uplight against the wall, or just a regular light at that point, a par light, and said, dude, this looks cool. And somebody's like, dude, that's terrible. Why would you ever want to do that? Now everybody's doing uplights. Heck, photographers are doing uplights, which, by the way, if you find it messed up that photographers are doing uplights, remember that DJs are doing photo booths. So, hey, it's all fair play now. But anyways, don't be afraid to get out of the box with your business. We're doing some things, that I know others are like, that's a terrible idea, and hey, it's going to take off. Or things we've already done have taken off. So if you find a new crazy idea, hey, try it. But at the same time, do not step out of the box with who you are, at least by nature. Definitely you always want to be more outgoing, you want to be more confident, but when you're selling to a bunch of teenagers, if you're not comfortable acting or being one of them, don't do it. So what I mean is, don't go into a sales meeting, take your hat, put it into rap mode, and be like, YOLO, because you're going to look like a huge giant dork. Look, you either are or you aren't that kind of person. A few of my DJs, I have a couple of my guys that are just real chill. They don't, they don't act up like that. They don't turn up wild out or whatever, but they are good at what they do. So, I tell them, like, look, when you get on the microphone, don't try to be me or don't try to be this DJ, be you. But at the same time, you need to connect. Now, when you're selling, if you are not comfortable connecting with that teenage audience and you don't think, you think age is going to be a barrier, if you think it's going to be one. So hire a teenager, hire somebody to present to the teens, to be that face of the company while you're talking with the administration, So now you have the young and you have old. Good cop, bad cop. Again, nothing wrong with age. Age is just a number, and I can tell you right now that I plan to be rocking school dances even 20 years from now, which would make me 48. So, turn down for what? So again, do not step out of the comfort zone with who you are, but definitely step out of the comfort zone of your business. Don't be afraid to expand. And last but not least, number 5, don't ever forget that you are your biggest competition. Now, here's what I mean by that. If you're at this level, and you have a business that's down here, I don't mean in terms of, oh, I'm better than them, but maybe they're not offering as much as you, or maybe they're just, charging $300. Don't ever say, oh, this $300 DJ took my job, because here's the thing. I can prove to you mathematically, and if you want to see it, shoot me an email, I'll send it to you. I'll prove it to you mathematically that those charging a certain amount are going to go out of business or are lying to you outright. I'll prove it to you mathematically. You can't argue it because you can't argue with math, okay? So now, that all being said, if they're down here in that part of the business, whether it's what they charge or what their service or what they bring out, whatever, they're not your competition because you're at a whole different level. Likewise, you could just be starting out, or you maybe want to break out of that mold, and you see a guy way up here taking all these schools. You don't say, oh man, he's got all these schools, I'm not going to be able to compete with him. You're not competing with them, because here's the thing, no matter how big you are, you don't have every school dance out there. We are the largest, technically we're now the only school dance company in our area. We're the largest school dance company in the state. We're serving areas that we don't even advertise to. But I can tell you right now, there's schools that are not my market that I've actually referred to DJs that are in a smaller level, because I know that, hey, look, this is all that school can charge. You can have it. I don't really care. And honestly, that's the same way. There's enough business for everybody. Trust me on that, okay? So don't compete with who's above you, who's below you. Heck, even if somebody's right next to you has the exact same thing, they're not your competition. You're your competition. It's good to have rivalries like, oh man, this person, great. But don't beat yourself over it, because trust me, in the long run, it's just going to make you miserable. Compete with yourself, because if you are, especially once you get to the top of the food chain, if you're at the top of the food chain and you're competing with those people, you're never going to get better. You're going to plateau. So you compete with yourself so you can make your service better each individual year. Maybe not with what you bring out, but something as simple as logistics, how you train your DJs, how you bring them out. Maybe you need to do a rebrand, whatever. You're always your biggest competition. So, again, my name's Arnaldo Offerman. Here's my contact, whoops, there we go. Here's my contact information right there. So again, you can email me, check out my website, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. Get my videos. All the cool kids are doing it. And if you want to be one of the cool kids, you got to get the videos too. There's that peer pressure we talked about in high school back in the day. But again, thank you guys so much for your time. Good night, and God bless.
So, okay, here we go. Okay, I'm ready.
No.
What?
No, this isn't right.
All right. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. All right, this is good. I like this. All right.
No.
That's about it. We'll move over. Let me do this here. No. Are you good? All right. Well, sit down. Hi. So what is wrong? There's just something not right. Let's just one more time. Okay. Well, I gotta be. Okay. Whatever. All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's
yeah. There we go. Hey everybody! Thank you so much for participating in the world's first virtual expo for entertainers.
It was awesome. Everything is awesome, as we know from some of our other speakers, and this is just as awesome as anything else.
24 sessions delivered over the last 2 nights.
Yeah.
Things that you probably didn't know. Some of the things maybe you did, but just great content.
I didn't know any of it.
It's been incredible. And so
gotta be smarter now.
Share with the world, please. If you enjoyed this, put it out on Facebook, put it out on Twitter. Let the world know. If you didn't care for it so much, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And if you like what we do at the Disc Jockey News, go to the YouTube.com/DiscJockeyNews. Subscribe. Facebook, like us. Twitter, follow us. And then, if you're a stalker, Bill's window's right over there. You just kind of stand by the window.
Yeah, that's what the entertainment experience is for. We're looking for the stalkers.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad it's over.
Don't be sad.
It was fun. This was a lot of fun.
It's tears for you.
Yeah, well.
Will you be able to put your pants back on now, Bill?
Oh my God.